down, but trying to beat the other has become a point of focus for Steve Spurrier and Philip Fulmer. Their rivalry, a way to measure themselves against the very best. Tonight, for the first time in 4 years, they meet again on familiar turf in Knoxville, Tennessee. Welcome, everyone, to ESPN2 College Football Primetime. Tonight at Neyland Stadium, the 62nd consecutive crowd of more than 100,000 on hand to watch the Tennessee Volunteers play host to South Carolina. It's on ESPN2 HD, presented by Phillips. Good evening, everybody, and welcome. I'm Sean McDonough along with Mike Gottfried. Delighted to have you with us as the man known here in Knoxville as Darth Visor returns to Neyland Stadium. Steve Spurrier, such a familiar fixture in this building as coach of Florida. He was 7-3 head-to-head against Philip Fulmer as coach of the Gators, but he doesn't have quite as good a wagon to bring in here tonight with the South Carolina Gamecocks.
No, I believe both coaches really respect each other. I visited with Steve Spurrier before the game in the locker room, and he says it's going to take a monumental task of this football team to win this football game. But they're loose. He's loose as a goose.
Their history is contentious despite the niceties that we heard from them this week. And Steve Spurrier this week did occasionally extend the needle as well. He said they're the ones who have a little heat on them, talking about Tennessee. Oh, no, don't lose to South Carolina. He also pointed out that it was surprising to many that South Carolina comes into this game with a better record than Tennessee. The Gamecocks are 4-3. The Vols are 3-3. And that is, I think, surprising to both of us as well. What will be a surprise is if either team can run the ball tonight. They haven't done it all year long. South Carolina has been able to throw the ball from time to time with a great wide receiver in Sidney Rice.
Sidney Rice is outstanding. He's a young guy that's made 16 receptions in the last 2 weeks. He's a big play guy, Sean. Blake Mitchell's going to look to him to get him the football.
Tennessee, picked by many in the preseason to be in the top 5 nationally. Many as well thought they would win the SEC East. That is not going to happen. They've been largely a disappointment, but the play of the front four, preseason perhaps best in the country, has lived up to that billing.
Yeah, Steve Spurrier is going to have to find a way to protect Blake Mitchell to throw the football. Paris Harrelson and the guys in the front four linebackers are very good for Tennessee. They're going to pressure Mitchell from the start. If you don't have a running game, you got to use screens to try to slow down this pass rush.
South Carolina has lost 12 in a row to Tennessee. We'll hear from Steve Spurrier with Alex Flanagan in just a moment.
ESPN2's College Football Primetime, brought to you by Smooth and Refreshing Bud Light. Great taste for your great times.
Well, it was a lovely day for tailgating along the banks of the Tennessee River. And now they're in-house to watch Philip Fulmer and Steve Spurrier, but more importantly, as the coaches pointed out, their respective teams go head-to-head. We mentioned the record. Those 10 meetings, it seemed every time they met, the SEC East title was hanging in the balance. That is not the case tonight, as Steve Spurrier comes back to Knoxville. And a moment ago, he spoke with Alex Flanagan.
Coach Spurrier, for many years, you came in here as the favorite. What's different about coming here as the underdog?
Well, I came in here the underdog with Duke now 3 times, and luckily we won a couple. But now it's a little different than the Florida-Tennessee game, but it's still a big game for our team and big for Tennessee. We're both desperately trying to win one.
Both have a lot at stake here. Who do you think has more pressure to win tonight?
Oh, well, earlier in the week I said it's on Tennessee, but we know they'll play their best. They haven't won 10, 11 games every year because they're an up-and-down team. They're a solid team. They've had some tough luck, but they're a very good team. We got to play right near our best to have a chance tonight.
All right, Coach. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Austin.
Steve Spurrier mentioned the days at Duke. His first trip in here as a head coach was in 1988 with Duke, and he was victorious 31-26 over the Vols. Coach Spurrier and the Gamecocks won the toss. They'll receive the kickoff from James Wilhoit. Noah Whiteside and Jonathan Joseph back to receive the kickoff. And it's a boomer by Wilhoit through the back of the end zone. And South Carolina will begin at the 20. Led by Blake Mitchell, the sophomore from LaGrange, Georgia. Excellent numbers, 64%. Completion percentage #1 in the Southeastern Conference. He's second with 235.7 passing yards per game in the SEC, behind Vanderbilt's Jay Cutler. They open with one back. It's Mike Davis. And then they shift it into the eye. Davis, the ball carrier. And a hard-earned 5 yards. Tackled by Jonathan Hefney, a South Carolina native. Here's the Bud Light starting lineups. Dacus Turman is their leading rusher with just 196 yards this season. Rice, the big play wide receiver. This is the first time all year they've started the same offensive line in consecutive games, and it's game 8. Nashawn Goddard is the best of that offensive line. He in the center, Chris White, the only offensive lineman who have started all 7 previous games for the Gamecocks. Little swing pass and a good catch by Dacus Turman. And he's taken down at the 28, about 2 yards short of the first down. Again, Jonathan Hefney made the tackle for Tennessee. 13th in the nation in total defense, with the great front four of Harrelson, Harrell, Mahalona, and Hall. The linebackers outstanding. Kevin Simon, in the words of John Chavis, the coordinator, playing as well as any linebacker they've had here. And in the secondary, Wade Stewart, Hefney, and Inky Johnson filling in for the All-American candidate Jason Allen. Lost for the year with a hip injury. He'll undergo surgery this week. 3rd down and 2. 2 tight ends into the game. Dacus Turman, the running back. And Mitchell looks to throw with a lot of time, and now running out of time. And running out of room. He lunged for the first down, but did not get it. And the Gamecocks will be forced to punt.
The respect Steve Spurrier has for this front four. 3rd and 2, trying to throw the football for the first down. They have an open receiver, the running back. Blake Mitchell tried to run for the first down.
Josh Brown, who handles the kicking and the punting with the rugby-style punt. That's the reason they do it. Give the coverage team extra time to get downfield while he's running a couple of steps, and it also increases the likelihood the punt will hit the ground. The snapper, Ike Crowfoot, there to down it after a 47-yard punt by Brown. Here's Rick Clausen, and if the number looks new to you Tennessee fans, it is. He was number 16, but switched to number 7 tonight, as Peyton Manning's number 16 was retired by the University of Tennessee in a moving ceremony before the game tonight. We'll show you some of that as the ball game goes along. They're without their leading rusher, Gerald Riggs. He injured a leg last week, so here's Arian Foster getting his first start of the season. Redshirt freshman, tackled by Mike West and Dustin Lindsey. The rest of the Bud Light starting lineup on offense for Tennessee. Anderson, a very good fullback. They've had inconsistent play at wide receiver, looking for more big plays. And up front, the very good offensive line that's starting to come together. It's the 3rd straight game that that fivesome has started intact. They've had a bunch of injuries up front that have hurt continuity. On 2nd and 9, Foster again, and very little there. Dustin Lindsey again, who moved into the starting lineup at middle linebacker last week and had 10 tackles in their win against Vanderbilt. His twin brother Jordan, part of the front four with Tucker, Doty, and Lambert. Dustin Lindsey getting his 2nd start now with Mike West and Lance Laurie.
And in the secondary, their best player on the defense is Cole Simpson with Bennett, Tyler, and Joseph. Simpson, the only Gamecock on either side of the ball to be preseason All SEC. 3rd down and 8. Lawson, the lefty, went out of the shotgun. He has some running room, decides to take off, and then tripped as he made the fake. If he stayed on his feet, he had the 1st down. But instead, he went down at the 34-yard line, a yard short of the marker. And they'll have to punt. Here's Gerald Riggs, that right leg in a boot, injured last week against Alabama. And he'll be out for the rest of the year.
Good series for South Carolina on defense.
Freshman Britton Colquitt punts. He's had an up-and-down year. And Kenny McKinley, the fair catch for Carolina at the 24-yard line. A 43-yard punt. Back in Knoxville, Tennessee. College football primetime at ESPN2. Each team has had the ball once. Each went 3 downs and punt. So here's South Carolina on offense for the 2nd time. The I formation behind Blake Mitchell, and the deep handoff to Mike Davis. Spins off a tackle and fights out for about 8 yards. Omar Gaither made the stop. This is a South Carolina team that averages only 86 yards per game rushing. That's 111th in the nation out of 117 teams. But early here, Mike, they're trying to establish the run.
Have to, Sean, because you have to protect your quarterback and you have to run the football against this front 4. They're awesome. This front 4 may be the best front 4 in college football.
They're not good at running or stopping the run, but they've been effective early by their standards running the football. It sets up that pass. Complete to Sidney Rice, the redshirt freshman from Gaffney, South Carolina. Jonathan Wade made the tackle.
And they look loose. I talked to Steve Spurrier before the game. He said they've had a great week of practice. They're loose. They believe they can win this football game.
The goal, said Steve Spurrier, we visited with him during the week, is a winning record and bowl eligibility. They'll need to go 2-2 in their last 4 to do that. He said 6-5 this year at South Carolina would be like a 9-2 at Florida. That pass almost intercepted. Intended for Rice and broken up by Inky Johnson, who moved into the starting lineup last week against Alabama, the first full game they had to play without Jason Allen, and Inky Johnson was excellent in that ball game.
Jason Allen really has taken over Inky Johnson. He emailed him at 6 in the morning before the Alabama game. He's tried to build his confidence, and he really believes Inky Johnson's going to be a great player here.
A sophomore from Atlanta, played some last year as a true freshman. 2nd down and 10. Davis the lone back. Kenny McKinley went in motion. Mitchell with the play clock running out. Didn't look like he got it off. He did not. That play won't count. They had thrown a flag for delay of game prior to the snap.
Offense, 5-yard penalty, still 2nd down.
Sean, I talked to Gerald Harrison, one of the coaches. He talked about Inky Johnson. He said when they got the tape in on him, it was snowy and lines through it, but they always see Inky Johnson get the pass, catch the pass, and the next thing you would see is him in the end zone. So they knew he had to be pretty good. Bad tape, good player.
Out of Krim High School in Atlanta. And now a timeout called by Tennessee. No score, just underway here in Knoxville.
ESPN2's College Football Primetime. Brought to you by Dodge. You can take life as it comes, or you can grab life by the horns. Dodge. And Dr. Pepper and your local Dr. Pepper bottler. Dr. Pepper. One taste and you get it.
Welcome back to Knoxville on a special night for Vol Nation. Peyton Manning at his number 16 retired just prior to kickoff. Took part in the traditional Vol walk with the team to the stadium before the game tonight. Swing pass to Mike Davis. He's out to the 42-yard line, about 5 shy of a first down. Jonathan Hefney the tackle. Here's Matt Weiner.
Hey, Sean, here's Texas and Oklahoma State. The elevated Horns in the BCS to number 1, but trailing at Oklahoma State. Vince Young picked off by Daniel McLemore. Returns it inside the 20. Led to this. Al Pena keeps it for the Cowboys, who lead 21-9.
If I recall, they led 35-7 last year in Austin and lost the game.
Tough place to play, Stillwater, Oklahoma. Tough.
3rd down and 5. Mitchell got it off, but he did not get the first down. Good effort by Chris Clark, who had a couple of key catches in their late game-winning touchdown drive against Vanderbilt last week. But Jonathan Wade and Kevin Simon stopped him just short of the first down. So in both possessions, Mike, a couple nice looking plays for a South Carolina offense that has struggled for a lot of the year, but they haven't had a first down yet.
No, but they're doing the right things. They're running the football, doing some quick passing game to keep that rush at bay.
Josh Brown, the punter, he's already graduated with a degree in retailing. Another rugby-style punt. Lucas Taylor, the freshman, thought about it, but backed off, wisely so. And it's down at the 12-yard line, a 44-yard punt. Here's Alex Flanagan.
Hey, Sean, well, you guys mentioned tonight that Rick Clausen is wearing number 7, not his traditional number 16. Well, Peyton Manning was absolutely humbled by the gesture. He said tonight before the game that he felt uncomfortable that Rick had done it because this game was not about him. It was about Rick, and it is Rick's number just as well as it was Peyton's. However, I talked to Rick's father tonight, and he said he and Rick discussed it early in the week and said it was the only thing to do. And after all, Sean, number 7 also a family number for the Clausens.
Yes, it is. It was Casey Clausen's number, his brother, who played quarterback here at Tennessee. It is also the number of his little brother Jimmy. There's an interception. Maybe he'll go back to 16 after that poor decision and throw. Jonathan Joseph with the interception for South Carolina.
In talking to Steve Spurrier, he said things have to go well for us early, and they have. Jonathan Joseph jumps on this out. He's in good shape right there to pick that football off. Rick Clausen trying to get the ball to Jason Swain, a long way to throw it. Jonathan Joseph with a good break.
His 3rd interception of the season. He brought one back for a touchdown against Georgia. And a 32-yard return of an interception last week against Vanderbilt that set up a touchdown. Perhaps this one will result in a score as well. Great field position for the Gamecocks at the 18-yard line. Play action pass by Mitchell looking in the end zone. Double coverage, and it's incomplete. Intended for Carlos Thomas. Inky Johnson broke it up.
When you throw the football in the out route and you stare down the wide receiver, Rick Clausen gets all he can get on that football, but Jonathan Joseph really read the out all the way. Inky's pretty good too.
Yes, he is.
As a corner.
Defense forced just 3 turnovers in the first 3 games. Lately, they've been much better in taking the ball away. And it's helped the point total for the Gamecocks. Out of the gun, Mitchell running out of time. Lofts it up for grabs. Incomplete. Sidney Rice wanted a flag against Jonathan Wade, but there is none. And that's 2 throws in a row that Mitchell was lucky didn't get picked off.
The pass rush again on Blake Mitchell. Sidney Rice going to come all the way across the football field, stand in the action. He knows Blake Mitchell's moving. Good coverage by Wade.
Wade's also a sprinter on their track team. John Chavis, the defensive coordinator, said he's had an up-and-down career, but lately he's played like a very good SEC defensive back. 3rd down and 10. Mitchell throws to the end zone. Caught! touchdown. Sidney Rice. So they take advantage of the interception, and Rice has his 10th touchdown of the season. That leads the SEC and ties the South Carolina single season touchdown reception record. And he still has nearly 4 full games to go. Josh Brown the extra point. And South Carolina 2 touchdown underdog. His first on the board tonight. Mitchell to Rice. A familiar hookup. Sidney Rice, the touchdown, his 10th touchdown reception of the year, tying the single season school record, cheered by 3 others, including Sterling Sharp back in 1986.
And Sean, he's had 3 called back that were touchdowns.
Rice at 6'4" was an outstanding high school basketball player. Many times uses his body as if a rebounder would to get great position to catch a pass. There's Lucas Taylor. And he spun down shy of the 30 at the 28-yard line. 20-yard return.
Sidney Rice is going to get right behind the linebacker. Linebacker drops, the safety's deep, and Sidney Rice is right here, is going to run a post route, get right behind the linebacker in front of the safety. A well-thrown ball by Blake Mitchell.
Back-to-back games of 8 catches in each against Kentucky and Vanderbilt. Here's Eric Ainge at quarterback now. Rice has also had more than 100 yards receiving in each of the last 2 games. Arian Foster out to the 34. And Mike, this has been a recurring theme all year long. They haven't been able to settle on a starting quarterback. Ainge has started twice. Clausen with the start tonight has started 5 games. They've each appeared in relief of the other from time to time. The players say it's not a distraction, but it certainly is a media issue here and a fan issue if nothing else. Arian Foster with the play stopped.
But I think happens, Sean, when you have 2 quarterbacks. And
Snap. False start. Offense, number 28. 5-yard penalty. Still second down.
And you don't have a clearly defined starter. All of a sudden, when you start the football game like Rick Clausen did, you're trying to make things happen so you stay on the field. And all of a sudden, you start to press, and it's like walking on the edge. You're going to make a mistake.
As Clausen did, and it led to a South Carolina touchdown. On 2nd and 9. Ainge on target to Robert Meacham for a first down across the 40. Here's Matt Weiner.
All right, Sean, LSU non-conference game tonight. North Texas in Baton Rouge, and Joseph Adai breaks the seal with a touchdown run there, 7-0. Meanwhile, UCLA, one of the unbeatens, down at the half 7-3, only 100 yards in total offense for the Bruins.
It's the Stanford team that's played a lot better lately under Walt Harris.
UC Davis beat them early in the year. UC Davis, a Pac-10.
First and 10 balls. Ainge to Meacham. Fred Bennett made the tackle after a gain of 4. They certainly are different type quarterbacks. The coaches will tell you that Ainge is the more naturally talented and gifted of the 2, but Clausen has done the better job this year, and certainly the stats bear that out as well.
Yeah, Rick Clausen is a leader. The players love him. Eric Ainge has all the potential.
Arian Foster slicing for a first down across midfield and down to the 45-yard line of South Carolina. Fred Bennett made the tackle after an 8-yard gain. Foster got 14 carries last week against Alabama. Randy Sanders, the offensive coordinator, said now we'll see if he can handle 50 plays or more in a college game. Hasn't had that yet. Steady diet of Foster here, and he tripped after crossing the line of scrimmage. A gain of 1. Credit Coach Simpson with the tackle.
And Gerald Riggs told Arian Foster, run downhill. Don't be stutter stepping in the backfield. Get up the line of scrimmage and run north and south.
I spoke with Arian Foster yesterday. He admitted he has the tendency to go sideways too often. When they recruited him out of high school, they said he was also too upright, that he needed to run a little bit lower, and he still is a little high from time to time. There's 5 carries for 18 yards. Now a deep throw over the head of Chris Hannon.
See, both these quarterbacks to me look like they press and not settled and trying to make something happen. And both, to their credit, really help the other guy. They said, as you said, they're comfortable. They try to help each other. They're competitors. But when you practice 2 quarterbacks, you don't really get one prepared because they don't really get enough snaps in practice.
Man open in the flat. David Holbert, the fullback. He's the backup fullback. With a nifty gain inside the 20 and down at the 18-yard line, perhaps even the 17. Tremaine Tyler made the tackle, but it's a 25-yard pickup for Tennessee.
Nice little pick route right here. And all of a sudden you get a chance to make a tackle right here. Mike West has to make that tackle. You can't allow the extra yards.
Foster down to the 11-yard line. Tackled by Lance Laurie and Oris Lambert.
It's a good offensive line, Sean, by Tennessee, and they want to run and win this football game. Turn it over to the offensive line. Richie Gandy, a very good center. In the middle, they have a very talented offensive line.
Tennessee driving, hoping for a tying touchdown. Foster with some nice footwork through the middle for a first down. Down near the 6, Mike West made the tackle.
Arian Foster, recruited by Oregon out of San Diego. Randy Sanders was going to see a quarterback on the other team, spotted Foster, kept him in mind, and they got him late in recruiting.
He was going to watch a quarterback, Richard Kovalchuk, who wound up going to Arizona. But Randy Sanders came back from San Diego and told Philip Fulmer and the staff he'd seen a running back he liked quite a bit. Lots of confusion and finally movement by Cody Douglas.
Before the ball was snapped, false start, offense, number 70, 5-yard penalty, still first down.
Sometimes when you look to the sideline, the offensive line's wanting to come off the ball, block, and they have the tendency sometimes to jump, waiting for the time to snap the football.
Now first and goal from the 11. Arian Foster to the 9-yard line. Fred Bennett up from his corner spot. Dustin Lindsay also in on the tackle.
Dustin Lindsay from Mobile, Alabama, Davidson High School. His twin brother plans to Spurs said, I'd like to have 11 like the Lindsays because they got a great attitude and they work hard.
So they play hard and they play fast. And we need more guys like that. This is the 11th play of the Tennessee drive, the first engineered by Eric Ainge. Inside handoff to Foster, and he's down at the 1-yard line. Looks like they'll spot him closer to the 2. Nice play call by Randy Sanders. He's been the lightning rod for criticism in this disappointing season for Tennessee. But as Philip Fulmer said, we've had a lot of drop balls, a lot of penalties, a lot of key turnovers. Those have been the biggest factors why they haven't always clicked on offense.
The offensive line, well blocked. Richie Gandy, you're right. Randy Sanders taking some heat.
8 carries for 37 yards for Foster. 3rd and goal. Up and over and in for the touchdown goes Foster. Now that was close, whether or not he got into the end zone. His 2nd career touchdown. And there is an injured Gamecock on the play.
Tennessee just comes off the ball, and a good effort by Foster. Hurdle. Here's Rick Clausen on the sideline, the first guy to congratulate Eric Ainge. Good attitude, good team guy.
Yeah, they're friendly. As you said, Mike, they work with each other, and we spoke with both of them yesterday. They both said the same thing. It's the coach's decision who plays. We're just going to work as hard as we can individually and together to get ready to play, and we'll leave it up to the coaches to decide who plays. When we get our chance, we're going to go in there and try to make plays.
And they can help each other on the sidelines, seeing coverages, seeing fronts, and helping each other with what the play is going to be called from the sideline, and then change it on the field.
Stanley Doty coming off the field. And we should point out, Philip Fulmer told us yesterday, they plan to get Ainge into the game early. He played briefly last week against Alabama. They expected he'd play more this week. So it may be that the interception thrown by Clausen made the change happen even sooner than planned, but we did expect to see Ainge early in this game regardless.
Yeah, without a doubt, Tennessee coaches know Eric Ainge. He's 6'6", 212. They know he's going to be a great quarterback someday.
A terrific true freshman year last year did Ainge, but then suffered a shoulder injury. Hasn't been quite as good since. James Wilhoit with the extra point that ties the game. Eric Ainge off the bench to lead the touchdown drive that ties the game. Here's Alex Flanagan.
Hey, Sean, well, as you mentioned, Eric Ainge was a star on this team last year. It's been a big adjustment for him to go kind of from the fallen hero to what he has become this year. He said to cope, he has stopped reading all newspapers, all internet sites. He said he doesn't pay attention to anything as best as he can. When he does need advice, there's 3 people he leans on: his father, his uncle, Danny Ainge, and Peyton Manning, Sean.
Well, those are pretty good resources. His dad, a longtime coach, now a basketball coach at Linfield College in Oregon. Of course, Danny Ainge, the former NBA star, now directing the Boston Celtics basketball operations. And Peyton Manning, only the most prolific passer in the history of the SEC.
Pretty good group. And in the LSU game, when he tried to throw that ball and got it picked off, in the first half, he had 3 drop passes, 7 penalties in that game. So no one really helped him in that game. He made a mistake, but he's learning from those mistakes.
At LSU, with Ainge starting, they were down 21-0 at the half. Clausen replaced him in the second half and led them back, but Randy Sanders mentioned all those numbers you just gave, Mike, and said it wasn't Ainge's fault. The rest of the team played much better in the second half, too. Wilhoit kicks off. And another boomer by Wilhoit. 8 of his last 11 kickoffs have gone for touchbacks. Next Saturday night, ESPN has a showdown of 2 of the best teams in the nation. Number 6 Miami taking on Marcus Vick and the undefeated Virginia Tech Hokies. They're ranked number 3. College football primetime presented by Polaroid on ESPN Saturday at 7:45 Eastern. Miami and Virginia Tech also available in high definition on ESPN HD.
Virginia Tech, really good football team. Miami coming off a win today. They were behind for a long time against North Carolina.
Into the second half, and they seem to be much more involved emotionally. Mike Davis, the ball carrier, for a yard, tackled by Paris Harrelson. Here's Matt Weiner.
Sean, you were correct earlier in saying Oklahoma State had led Texas 35-7 last year before the Horn comeback, and Texas spotting this Cowboys lead again. It's only 12 at the moment, but Daniel McLemore's big punt return there has put them back in position. Cowboys driving, leading 21-9.
The pressure, great memory, the pressure of being in this hunt.
Mitchell's pass batted up in the air and incomplete. Knocked down by Paris Harrelson. John Chavis says we have the best pair of defensive ends in the nation, and it's hard to argue when you watch Harrelson and Jason Hall regularly.
Paris Harrelson is one of the best defensive linemen in the country. Has great effort, gives you great effort all the time in leadership.
Sick last week, very sick before the Alabama game. Took some fluids, played in the game, and then was so sick Sunday that he had to be hospitalized for a while with flu-like symptoms. Despite the illness, he had a terrific ball game against Alabama, including 2 sacks. 3rd down and 9. Mitchell is buried back at the 13-yard line. Turk McBride, a backup defensive tackle, credited with the sack if it stands. There is a flag down at the 23-yard line.
There's no play before the snap. Delay of game. Offense. 5-yard penalty. Still 3rd down.
Well, the last time we saw Carolina a few weeks ago was against Auburn. They had a lot of trouble getting the plays in and getting plays off on time, and this is already their 2nd delay penalty in the first 13 minutes tonight.
Trying to call the plays from the sideline took too long.
Steve Spurrier has gone to the reading glasses this year, in part because he's calling plays off a wristband. They're numbering the plays, trying to make it easier for the quarterbacks. Steve admitted when we spoke with him from time to time he has a hard time reading the wristband. The type is so small. Mitchell, quick throw up for grabs and incomplete. Looking for Noah Whiteside. Inky Johnson again with excellent coverage.
To add what you said on Paris Harrelson, he was so sick, but Jason Allen is his roommate. He knocked on the door. He told Jason Allen, he said, I need to go to the hospital. And Jason Allen said, I'm on crutches. I can't drive. So they had a problem.
Josh Brown to punt for the 3rd time. Lucas Taylor really energized their return game. This is a short punt at the 41-yard line, handled by Austin Rogers. Just a 26-yard punt. There is a flag down back at the line of scrimmage, and a break for South Carolina. Brown will get another shot at the punt.
Offside. Defense number 12 lined up in the neutral zone. 5-yard penalty. Still 4th down.
Going to be a big series for South Carolina's defense because all of a sudden Tennessee has gashed them with the run. So they have to stop the run because Philip Fulmer, Randy Sanders going to keep putting pressure on that defensive front of South Carolina.
Brown will punt again on 4th down and 9. This isn't exactly a boomer either, but it does negate a return when it hits the ground well short of the return man. 33 yards and no return from Brown, a senior from Clarksburg, Maryland. Well, Tennessee will begin with good field position again at the 46-yard line. And it will be Eric Ainge again. Played brilliantly during his true freshman year last year, then suffered that dislocated shoulder against Notre Dame late in the year. Earlier this year hurt his toe. He had turf toe. It affected his throwing motion. Here's Lucas Taylor on the reverse. And he's out of bounds deep into South Carolina territory, although it looks like they'll mark him out back near the 35-yard line. Still a gain of 18 and a first down for Tennessee. Co Simpson, the tackle.
When you pound the football in there, all of a sudden your linebackers are playing run. All of a sudden they get caught up, and then Tennessee's on the outside with Lucas Taylor running free.
Little delay. Arian Foster, that offensive line starting to take over. And Foster down at the 21-yard line. Marquis Hall made the tackle. 14 on the run by Arian Foster.
And all of a sudden, this South Carolina defense giving up a lot of yardage to Tennessee on the run. You see a lot of missed tackles. You see a lot of people at the line of scrimmage being blocked by Aaron Sears, Rob Smith, Richie Gandy, Cody Douglas. The offensive line having their way.
Foster doing a nice job replacing Riggs as the starter. He's rushed for 54 plus that yardage. Marquis Hall made the tackle. That's 57 yards now on a 3-yard gain.
When you look at Tennessee offensively, only averaging 100 yards rushing. That's not a typical Tennessee football team.
These are two of the worst rushing teams in the country statistically. Flag down. C.J. Phaeton down. Nice play by Jonathan Joseph, who's had a terrific first quarter. The interception that set up the South Carolina touchdown. Now he drops Phaeton for a loss, but there is a hanky. Will likely turn that one down.
Illegal formation. Not enough players on the line on the offense. Penalty is declined. 3rd down.
Sean, you're right about Jonathan Joseph. The interception, he breaks on the football. He read that screen. He has acceleration. He can get up the field and make a play quickly.
That's going to be the end of the first quarter. After 15 minutes, Rick Clausen to the bench. Steve Spurrier and the Gamecocks tied up with Tennessee. Sean McDonough, Mike Gottfried, Alex Flanagan back in Knoxville, Tennessee. 7-7 the score after 1 quarter. And Tennessee on the move again, looking at 3rd down and 10 from the South Carolina 21. Man open in the end zone, and it is incomplete, out of bounds. Jason Swain was wide open. He got behind Jonathan Joseph. It looked like his first foot came down across the sideline and out of bounds.
Too much air under the football by Eric Ainge. Lofted it out there. A good call.
No doubt about it. Excellent call by Richard Morales, the field judge. Now a 38-yard field goal try by James Wilhoit. 5 for 9 this year. He's had 2 blocked. One of those was when the snapper snapped it early and surprised everybody. No problem on that one. And Tennessee has its first lead of the night. And Eric Ainge has come off the bench to spark this offense. We check out Game Track. South Carolina took the lead on Rick Clausen's interception. Jonathan Joseph, the interception at the 19-yard line. That set up a 3-play drive and a 19-yard touchdown pass from Blake Mitchell to Sidney Rice. Then Ainge came off the bench and led Tennessee on a 72-yard march, 12 plays, and Arian Foster the 1-yard run, and now the field goal has given the Vols the lead.
In fairness to Rick Clausen, they've run the ball better with Eric Ainge in there. That opens up the passing game, but the run really has been the difference in the first quarter.
Rick Clausen's younger brother Jimmy, a junior in high school in Westlake, California. Perhaps the most highly recruited quarterback in the country right now. And Tennessee is under consideration. Both Rick and Casey Clausen, Jimmy's older brothers, have gone here. Steve Spurrier and the Clausen family have a very nice relationship. But talking to Rick yesterday, I got the feeling if Jimmy had to decide right now, it would be Notre Dame. He really likes Charlie Weis. He enjoyed his visit to Notre Dame. And Charlie Weis, of course, today signed a 10-year contract extension.
That's unbelievable. 10-year contract in your first year. Pretty good.
That seems kind of quick to me. I mean, Tyrone Willingham started out really well there, too. A couple of years later, they weren't all that anxious to keep him around for 10 years. Carlos Thomas, the kickoff return. The ball came out. Ball saying they have it, and they do.
Almost looked like he was down, Sean, before he fumbled this football.
And they will review it, as they do every play. Corey Campbell came up with the football for Tennessee. And there's an injured Gamecock as well. Now that ball was coming out before it hit the ground. And it didn't look like anybody knocked it out. It just looked as he was falling to the ground, it came loose.
He didn't have it secured, carrying it like a loaf of bread. There's another look on Carlos Thomas. Drops a football. Tennessee in good field position, good shape. And the coaches look at that, they're going to tell him, you have to put that ball on your elbow and lock it in.
You saw Carlos Thomas, the end of that replay, grabbing his helmet. He is the injured player. And they've relied on Carlos, a true freshman, and another true freshman, Kenny McKinley, as their primary returners, and they've done a nice job. Carlos had a 79-yard kickoff return earlier this year against Troy. I wonder if he landed on his head. He went high in the air and then started to come down head first. Oh boy, he did.
Yeah.
Immediately grabbed for his helmet as he rolled over with the ball on the ground. As they tend to Carlos Thomas, we'll take a break. We're in the second quarter here in Knoxville. I would think they're particularly happy about that in Blacksburg.
I bet everybody's running to the TV in Blacksburg because Virginia Tech, I don't think they can get up there unless USC loses or Texas loses. Now, USC has Fresno, California, UCLA left. They have the best schedule, so they're going to hop whoever's number 2. Texas right now is number 1, but USC will be number 1 on Monday when that comes out again. Virginia Tech could go to 2 if Texas doesn't win this football game.
You can see they're immobilizing Carlos Thomas. They're going to put him on a stretcher and then on a cart and take him off the field. A scary moment. It did look, from our vantage point, it's hard to see with so many people around him that there has been movement, which is a good thing, but it's scary. He landed right on his head.
He did, and he got hit by Hannon. After he hit his head, he got hit by Hannon, the linebacker. You're going to see here, the wide receiver, you're going to see him hit him and flip him over. So our prayers are with him right now.
Carlos, a talented all-around player. He's played wide receiver, kick returner, and cornerback this year. Matter of fact, in the game against Georgia, he had an interception while playing cornerback. Interception of DJ Shockley. Steve Spurrier says Thomas wants to play offense. At this juncture, he'd probably play more if he played defense. They're already, and this is very insignificant given the situation with Carlos Thomas right now, but they're already shorthanded at the wide receiver position. Savell Newton, who's also been a versatile player for them, played tailback, played quarterback and wide receiver all last week, and was the key to their win over Vanderbilt. He was the SEC Offensive Player of the Week while scoring a touchdown in that game against the Commodores. twisting and turning near the goal line. He blew out an Achilles tendon and is lost for the year. Very versatile and outstanding offensive player.
And Steve Spurrier talked about him. He's rushed 21 times, caught 27 passes. He'd like to move him to quarterback, so he used him different ways to really thwart the defense.
Steve Spurrier just huddled the team for a prayer. And as they pray for Carlos Thomas, we'll send you back to the studio to Matt Winer. Of course, that game rescheduled. That was to be their season opener, but rescheduled due to Hurricane Katrina. And as they continue to tend to Carlos Thomas, we'll step aside and take a break again and be back right after this.
Back to football at Tennessee.
All right, Matt and Jim, thank you. They have taken Carlos Thomas off the field in a stretcher, and it's 1st and 10 for Tennessee. And Arian Foster belted for a loss by DeAdrian Coley. A loss of 2 back to the 31. This was a moment ago. They got Thomas immobilized on the stretcher, on the board, and then put him on top of the golf cart. Alex Flanagan, our sideline reporter, will stay on top of his situation. As soon as we get information, we'll pass it along to you. 2nd and 12. Eric Ainge, a pump fake, and now he throws it away. It was well defended. Intended for Jason Swain. Jonathan Joseph had the coverage.
Sean, when you have a cornerback like Jonathan Joseph, who jumped on the out, picked off Rick Clausen early, now what they're trying to do to Jonathan Joseph, the pump, and see if he'll take the out again, but he stayed back. He's played well here in the first half. This guy is all over the field.
Tennessee trying to capitalize on the fumbled kickoff. 3rd down and 12 of the 31. Ainge, a design rollout, throws in a double coverage, incomplete. Over the head of Jason Swain.
Problem with Tennessee all year has been the fact their defense has played well. The offense has great field position, but can't move the football.
105th in the nation in scoring offense. Coming into tonight's game, they'd scored 98 points for the season through 6 games. Their lowest point total through 6 games since 1981. The only time they've been under 100 through 6 games in 24 years. 48-yard field goal try now by James Wilhoit. Casey Woods, the holder. That one needs a hook. And it's no good. Would have been the longest of his season for Wilhoit. He has made a 51-yarder previously in his career. As long as this year, 46. This one from 48, no good.
And that's a win for South Carolina's defense. Tyrone Nix, who this week started calling the defenses. They have co-coordinators, John Thompson and Tyrone Nix. Tyrone Nix got a great effort out of his defense to stop Tennessee on that drive.
Well, South Carolina takes over 1st and 10 at its own 31. Blake Mitchell, the quarterback. Mike Davis, the lone back. 2 tight ends in the game. Mitchell throws a quick strike for Sidney Rice, and he almost broke free. Tripped up at the 46-yard line, a gain of 15. Inky Johnson made the tackle.
Sean, we've had South Carolina against Auburn. This you can see eventually Steve Spurrier putting his fingerprints on this football team. This is a well-coached football team that doesn't have a great deal of talent. Lose Newton, and these guys are finding a way to stay in football games. They've won 3 out of 4 since the Alabama game.
Mitchell throws too high over the head of Rice. What they've done, Mike, and Steve Spurrier pointed it out when we visited him this week, they've won all the games they should win, and they've basically lost to the teams you would expect them to lose to. Their 4 wins are against Central Florida, Troy, Kentucky, and Vanderbilt, while they've lost to Georgia, Alabama, and Auburn. Those three teams entering today were 19-2.
In the Auburn game, the quarterback, Blake Mitchell, misses that game. Now, like I say, they have had a lot of injuries. This is a well-coached football team.
2nd and 10. Movement on both sides. Looked like the movement by Harrelson drew Carson Askins, the tight end, up out of his stance.
Before the ball was snapped, ball start. Offense, left side of the offensive line. 5-yard penalty, still 2nd down.
The other thing about South Carolina is they haven't been able to run the football. So if you can't run the football, you're always throwing the football. I mean, your defense has trouble stopping the run. These guys, to be where they're at right now, like I say, is a good coaching job.
Well, you want your offensive line to work together. They did on the left side that time. They were all moving ahead of the snap. 2nd and 15. Dumped off to Mike Davis across midfield and stopped a yard short of the 1st down by Omar Gaither, the senior linebacker from Charlotte, North Carolina. 14 yards on the completion. Steve Spurrier, as has been the case in the past, doubles his offensive coordinator. He calls the plays. You talk about talent. I'm sorry, Mike. Only one preseason all-SEC player, and that was on defense. So certainly the cupboard was bare as he came in this year.
It's a good job by Mitchell finding the release point and getting the 3rd receiver, Mike Davis, in that route.
Blake Mitchell, the keeper, and he didn't get it, at least from our vantage point. He needed to get to the 44. It looks from here that he's about a half-yard short, and Coach Spurrier will have a tough decision to make.
I think he'll go for it right here, depending on how close it is.
He sends Dacus Turman for the fullback back into the game. They're just 2 out of 10 on 4th down this year.
And you're on the road, and you're a hostile crowd here. You have to make something happen.
Just got the big stand from his defense after the fumbled kickoff return. Now looking for a big play from the offense. And Turman gives it to him. The first man through. Dacus Turman to the 41 and a 1st down. Jesse Mahalona, the outstanding defensive tackle, made the stop.
Sean, when we talked about South Carolina being loose and Steve Spurrier saying, hey, we have everything to gain, nothing to lose, all the pressure's on Tennessee, and then you have a 4th and half-yard, you got to go for it. You got to say to your team, hey, we're going to play loose too. We're going to call the game loose.
3 wide receivers now on 1st and 10 from the 41. Blitz off the corner. They hit Mitchell as he threw it. Incomplete. Looking for Sidney Rice. Omar Gaither in the face of Mitchell as he threw. Good coverage from Jonathan Wade. Let's get an update on Carlos Thomas from Alex Flanagan.
Hey, Sean, Carlos was taken directly off the field and straight into the ambulance. He is being taken to UT Medical Center. He was moving on the field, but the trainer told me that he was drifting in and out of consciousness. When I asked if it was a head or a neck injury, the trainer told me that they think it could be both. So they are being very cautious, taking him straight to the hospital where he will be further evaluated. When and if I learn more, I'll tell you guys what I know.
Thank you, Alex. Here's a reverse. Kenny McKinley took a very deep pitch, but now he has some running room. Well, it looked like it might be a disaster for South Carolina. Turned into about a 5-yard gain to the 37-yard line. Jonathan Hefney, a South Carolina native playing for Tennessee, made the tackle.
Another block by Blake Mitchell here with a good block there, a little push, and that's another sign to your football team. Here we'll risk some trick plays, we'll do some different things, have fun.
3rd down and 5, and perhaps again 2 downs to get a 1st down here if they can get some yardage on this play, make it a more manageable 4th down. And they throw short, incomplete, intended for Rice. Jonathan Wade had the coverage.
Without Syvelle Newton, they're going to try to get the ball to Rice. Sidney Rice is their go-to guy.
Blake Mitchell wanted to go for it, but Steve Spurrier sent Josh Brown out. He is their field goal kicker and punter, and it looks like he's going to try a long field goal. This will be a very long field goal of 53 yards. He has a long this year to 45, which is also his career long. That was against Kentucky. And that one is no good. Got a pretty good piece of it, but off to the left. They have a freshman, Ryan Suckup, who kicks off for them, who's tried a couple of long field goals. He has a strong leg this year, but he's 0 for 2 in field goals, having missed a 50-yarder and a 46-yarder this year. So they decided to give Brown the opportunity, and he couldn't convert.
On good field position by Tennessee, I expect them to come right out and try to pound the football against South Carolina.
There was their attack last week. A lot of 2 tight end formations and power football with a running game. Here's David Yancey, backup tailback. He's a walk-on, getting some playing time now in the absence of Riggs, and Dustin Lindsey made the tackle. And that philosophy might have worked last week had it not been for a key fumble by Ricks inside the 10-yard line. Riggs put it on the ground in a key spot. Corey Anderson fumbled late in the game near the 10-yard line, with the game tied at 3, and they also muffed a punt that led to an Alabama field goal. One-handed catch attempt, incomplete for Corey Anderson.
Offense is just out of sync right now for Tennessee. Ball thrown behind Corey Anderson. Eric Ainge, 3-step drop, throws the ball. Anderson couldn't get set.
It looked like they were in sync before the injury to Carlos Thomas. You can understand it has taken the wind out of the sails of everybody after you see somebody who might be seriously injured. The crowd certainly is subdued. Good throw by Ainge there, and a sliding catch by Robert Meacham. He has outstanding ability, but he's been hobbled by an ankle injury all year long. That's a 17-yard gain. They're looking for more big plays from the wide receivers, including Meacham.
Robert Meacham's been limping since the UAB game, the first game of the year, and the wide receivers really have not played well for Tennessee.
Despite plenty of talent and depth at that position, a lot of them have been injured. They have not played up to the level expected of them. Ainge trying to get his signal straight with Corey Anderson. And there's David Yancey, tackled by Dustin Lindsey.
Going back to the wide receivers, when you talk to the coaches, they said we're leading the league in drop passes. Now, we've seen a lot of SEC teams drop some passes, but Tennessee, they're a couple plays away from being 5-1, 6-0. Really, they fumbled, made mistakes. Their offense just doesn't get in balance. Harmony.
Swing pass, and Yancey chopped down. Apparently not all the way down. Mike West cut him, but Yancey managed to stay off the ground. And they'll give him that forward gain to the 42-yard line where Chris Tucker tackled him. We mentioned the South Carolina schedule. They beat the teams they should beat, lost to very good teams. It's the same thing for Tennessee. I mean, they've played now 4 teams this year who were ranked in the top 10 when they played them. Florida, LSU, Georgia, and Alabama. But still, the expectation was for better than 3-3, no matter the schedule.
And maybe beat the best team with the best talent in LSU.
They're one of those teams they defeated. The pass intended for Chris Hannon, incomplete. Officials gesturing that the ball was not catchable. Lost at Florida, had that dramatic comeback to win at LSU. Lost here in Knoxville to Georgia, and then the heartbreaker last week at Alabama. And the 3 fumbles were particularly costly.
It's what you said last week, Sean. They're playing Alabama. They knew They wanted a low-scoring football game. As a coach, all you can do is put your team in a position to win. They did that.
We'll get another highly ranked team next week. They're at Notre Dame. Burton Colquitt, the fourth Colquitt to punt for Tennessee with a beauty. Hits softly near the 4 and dribbled down near the 2-yard line. 40-yard punt. Corey Williams downed it. Middle of the second quarter in Knoxville, Tennessee with a 3-point lead on the Gamecocks.
ESPN2's College Football Primetime. Brought to you by Saturn and Forterra. Soft on the inside, tough on the outside.
Neither team's been on fire offensively this season. That's true again tonight. 10-7, middle of the second quarter. Tennessee with a lead in South Carolina with awful field position beginning at its own 2. Vegas Terman, a tough run. And he's a tough runner. Senior year in high school, he rushed for 3,167 yards. Set the single season Georgia high school rushing record. Whenever you break a record that was held by Herschel Walker, you've done something pretty impressive.
That's pretty good. Steve Spurrier said he's a leader of our offense. Tough ball carrier.
Second and 6. On the delay, Terman swung down for a loss by Tony McDaniel.
Six, 7, 295. Tony McDaniel not blocked. John Chavis has got a defensive front, and then you have one of the best linebackers in the country in Kevin Simon behind him.
McDaniel, another South Carolina native on this Tennessee team, as is the defensive coordinator John Chavis. Coach Chavis from Dillon, South Carolina. 3rd and 8, and plenty of noise from the crowd of 107,716. All 4 of their home games this year played to more than 107,000 fans. Mitchell deep drop into the end zone, and he just did get it off. Safety. They ruled that he was in the grasp and tackled by Jason Hall before he threw the ball away. And it's 12-7 in favor of Tennessee. Jason Hall, the outstanding senior defensive end from Marietta, Georgia, went around Jabari Levy.
Good play call by Steve Spurrier, trying to get the ball out, but Blake Mitchell held on the ball too long. Jason Hall comes back, tries to get rid of the football. Good call by the officials.
Hall had 2 sacks last week against Alabama. Had 3 for the year coming in. The other one was against DJ Shockley. And when our producer Josh Hoffman said it's not easy to run down DJ Shockley, Jason Hall said, "You ain't lying." He was very proud of that sack.
He was good. He's talked about Lindy's magazine ranking their defensive line one of the top defensive lines in the country. He just goes, his motor's going all the time.
Jason Hall's from Marietta, Georgia, but went to prep school in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Said he was never really a Georgia Tech fan. His strength coach at the prep school in Chattanooga, and the former strength and conditioning coach here at the University of Tennessee.
Go back to that punt. When Tennessee punted the football, killed the ball inside the 5-yard line, that set up the safety. Blake Mitchell just took too long to get rid of that football.
Ryan Suckup will take the free kick. They elect to put it on a tee. He's a freshman from Hickory, North Carolina. Lucas Taylor deepest for Tennessee. And the Vols will have good starting field position at the 38-yard line. After a 19-yard run back, here's Matt.
All right, time is running out in Northern California for unbeaten UCLA. Fumbles have been a problem today. Marcus Everett gets the pass and then loses possession. Third lost fumble. The Cardinals just cashed in 23-3 pending a kick.
I think they're more dangerous USC with a loss than it would have been if they're undefeated. Now, if you're UCLA, that loss is really going to set them back.
Arian Foster, first down and more, across midfield and out at the 47-yard line of South Carolina. Do you think now USC might take UCLA a little bit lightly?
I think they'll be loose. Now, all of a sudden, their championship, national championship, the run to win the Pac-10, all those things are in danger. So now they'll play a little loose. And USC still has Fresno and California before them.
Foster up to 71 yards rushing. Eric Ainge calling out instructions to his teammates. Had trouble with the shotgun snap. No immediate pressure, but finally he's taken down by Dustin Lindsey.
This great field position. They have to take advantage of this. They have South Carolina's defense on their heels. The South Carolina offense, after the safety, poor field position. You have to take advantage of this.
At safety for the Volunteers, their first since 2002. A game at Vanderbilt when the Vols tackled the Commodores punter in the end zone. Quick throw and an even quicker hit. Jason Swain with the catch, and he got belted by that man again, Jonathan Joseph.
Player of the first half for South Carolina. You look for a corner that can break on the ball. When the ball's thrown, you want a corner to really be able to accelerate, make the move. And Jonathan Joseph can do that. Stop, comes forward, makes the tackle.
Joseph has great speed. He's been clocked at 4.34 in the 40. Junior college transfer from Coffeyville out in Kansas. Third down and 8 from the 44 of South Carolina. Ainge hit as he throws. Out to C.J. Phaeton, and a great tackle in space by Co Simpson.
Good series again by South Carolina's defense. Tyrone Nix bringing the pressure here on Eric Ainge. Bringing the strong safety. Co Simpson left out there on man coverage. Makes a good tackle like you said.
There's Tyrone Nix, 10 years on the coaching staff at Southern Miss, where he played. Now in his first year with Steve Spurrier at South Carolina, co-coordinated with John Thompson, who worked with Coach Spurrier at Florida and was Tyrone Nix's position coach when Tyrone played at Southern Miss. They hit the punter, and there is a flag down. The ball's down as well. The punt was muffed, and the Volunteers have it. Kenny McKinley lost it. Steve Spurrier can only shake his head. They made two major errors on the play. Ryan Carl recovered the muff. They ran into the punter and then dropped the punt.
The kicker. On the that penalty is declined.
There's some key special teams blunders. The fumbled kickoff did not prove costly to them, as the field goal was missed by Tennessee thereafter.
Michael Flint runs into the punter, and then the drop football here gives Tennessee great field position.
And McKinley has been their primary punt returner. He wasn't back there because of the injury to Thomas. He would have been the man in all likelihood anyway. Here's Ainge looking to run, delivers a stiff arm, and then slides out of bounds. He went down inbounds, so the clock keeps running. Under 3.5 to go in the half. A 5-yard gain by Ainge, who is a big guy at 6'6", well over 200 pounds. They list him at 210. I would have guessed he weighed more than that when we visited with him yesterday.
He's big. I mean, he looks good. He has said he had a goal is to be a player, play, now start. He eventually wants to win the SEC championship for the Volunteers.
Arian Foster trying to battle to that first down line. Stoney Woodson wouldn't let him get there. About a yard short. It'll be 3rd down and 1.
You talk about a big 3rd down for this Carolina defense. Now Tyrone Nix got to sell out the farm here on this play.
And we spoke with John Thompson during the week. He mentioned that he and Tyrone Nix are co-coordinators just about in every sense of the word. But Steve Spurrier made the point this week in the media to say Tyrone Nix will be calling the defenses this week.
You need one.
Foster through the hole. Did he get into the end zone? The ball's out. And they're ruling touchback. Now the question was he across the goal line before he fumbled? Stoney Woodson has the ball. The officials are conferring, and they're sticking with touchback. And out to the 20, and I'm certain this one will be reviewed.
It looked like the ball was coming out.
Touch the play review.
Let's see.
No, that was coming out before he crossed the line.
I'm going to say I'm going with the officials. I think they got it right.
Looks like Stoney Woodson recovered it. Yeah, that ball was wobbling out before he got to that line.
Sean, while I have a minute here, I want to say I was in Washington, D.C. I went to a high school team, Crossland High School, who's had a lot of losses, and their teams turned it around under Keith Howard, the coach. Temple Hills, Maryland, they won their game last week. So I'm proud of them. Ball's coming out.
I think they're going to credit Lance Laurie with the fumble recovery. Here's Woodson who had a great shot at it, but it squirted away from him, and then Lance Laurie got on it. The call stands. It is a fumble. And here's what you have to love about fans and media, right? Who will get bashed this week if they don't score more points?
Randy Sanders.
Randy Sanders, the offensive coordinator, who called a play that by all rights should have been a touchdown, and instead comes out. They miss a short field goal, medium range field goal. Now they fumble inches from the goal line. Here's South Carolina. Mike Davis through a big hole. First down. Flags down to the line of scrimmage. And a late flag thrown as well. 16 yards if it stays. There are 3 flags on the field.
Sean, been a well officiated football game here in the first half.
The play. Offense. Not enough players on the line of scrimmage. First foul, late hit, 24 defense. We'll penalize both fouls. It'll be first hit.
Take a man to the moon, but we can't get the referees, Mike, to work.
Well, the ball will go out to the 30-yard line. Antoine Stewart, the safety for Tennessee, called for the personal foul. Minute 47, the clock running remaining. And Davis runs for the first down. Out to the 41-yard line. 3 timeouts left for Carolina, so plenty of time. Last week, as we mentioned, a key in the 6-3 loss for Tennessee. At Alabama, 3 lost fumbles. Gerald Riggs inside the 10 in the first quarter. And then with the game tied at 3 in the fourth quarter, around 5 minutes to go, Corey Anderson had the ball knocked free. It went through the back of the end zone. Alabama went down, kicked the field goal to win the game. Sidney Rice the catch into Tennessee territory. First down at the 47, a 12-yard gain. Here's Matt.
All right, Sean, Star Motorcycles halftime report coming up. 6 unbeatens to start the day, 1 losers, 2 more in varying degrees of trouble.
Yeah, I'll tell you what Texas has to do to come back in the second half.
And I'll talk about the keys to Florida's success over Georgia today.
Plus details on Charlie Weis contract extension through 2015. Coming up at the half.
Now a timeout by South Carolina. Not great management of the clock there. They took a lot of time and then used the timeout while they were up at the line of scrimmage. 57 seconds left in 2 timeouts for the Gamecocks. Tennessee with a 5-point lead, but South Carolina with the ball near midfield. Sunday Night Football on ESPN. Teddy Bruschi returns for his first game since suffering a stroke in the offseason. The Patriots welcome the Buffalo Bills. Available in high definition on ESPN HD. Coverage starts at 7:30 Eastern. Flags down. Blake Mitchell gets off the pass. Caught by the tight end Carson Askins. He did not get out of bounds at the 39-yard line.
I'm not sure they had enough men on the line of scrimmage again, South Carolina.
Illegal shift against the Gamecocks. Steve Spurrier might be
Illegal. 2 men. 5-yard penalty. Replay first half.
a little kinder and gentler after his stint in the NFL. At least he's trying to be less caustic in some of his comments, particularly about the opponents, but he hasn't lost any of that fire and intensity on the sideline.
No, he's still a great competitor.
First and 15, penalties hurting South Carolina on this possession. Mitchell dumps it off. Dacus Turman gets the first down and gets out of bounds. Outstanding play for South Carolina. Turman out of bounds at the 34-yard line, an 18-yard gain.
Looks like he's hurt, Sean,
Yep.
but he really made a good move to the outside. Caught the football from Blake Mitchell, just outlet pass, then broke to the outside, picked up the first down. This would be big for South Carolina. Get on the board.
31 seconds left in the half. And 2 timeouts. Mitchell going deep for Rice, and he does not hang on. Again, used that body to position himself in front of Rashawn Fellows, but couldn't make the catch.
Wouldn't be surprised they come right back to Sidney Rice, 6'4", going against Fellows. Just couldn't bring it in.
Second and 10. From the 34. Mitchell right back to Rice again, as Mike had anticipated, but it's incomplete with Rashawn Fellows again in coverage.
He is the go-to guy. Without Newton, you got to get the ball to Rice.
You surprised where he is so clearly the main weapon for South Carolina that he's seeing so much one-on-one coverage tonight?
Yes, I am, but Tennessee has pretty good corners in Inky Johnson and Jonathan Wade. Pretty good coverage.
Third down and 10.
Go with Rice in the boundary.
Singled up again. Just 1 third down conversion tonight for South Carolina. And they use a timeout with the clock stopped. Steve Spurrier checking to make sure he has 1 remaining. And Mike, it would seemed to me when you have a team like this, not a lot of offensive talent, they've struggled to score for most of the season. The little things like not getting the plays in quickly and wasting timeouts can hurt you.
The first year of coaching is the toughest because you're putting your offense in. You have players that you didn't recruit. You're trying to get them up to the line of scrimmage. You're wanting the right call in this situation. If they get on the board here, now they can beat Tennessee because Tennessee's offense is really struggling. Their defense is good, but if South Carolina gets a touchdown here, look out.
Talk about talent. John Chavis, the defensive coordinator, says all I know is South Carolina's been rated in the top 25 in recruiting each of the last 4 or 5 years, but that would make me think those recruiting services are not always 100% accurate. No. And we should also point out South Carolina's had a lot of players leave the program for a variety of reasons in recent years. A lot of that talent that was in recruiting classes isn't here anymore.
Well, they're in the stand somewhere watching on TV.
Third down and 10. Tennessee rushes 5. Good work by the offensive line. Terrible throw by Mitchell. It's intercepted by Jonathan Heffney. And he's tackled at the 46-yard line by Nahshon Goddard. 37-yard return by Heffney. He's from Rock Hill, South Carolina. The second interception of the year. He was a high school teammate of Co Simpson, the great safety for South Carolina. They've known each other since they were in the 5th grade.
Blake Mitchell was trying to go to Kenny McKinley. He thought he was going to run a post. McKinley ran a corner route. No receiver around that throw.
Third turnover by South Carolina. The other 2 were in the kicking game. And the interception by Heffney gives them a chance now with 4 seconds to go to throw a Hail Mary pass. And Philip Fulmer has used the timeout to talk about this play.
Yeah, throw it up. Get one shot on the long throw. That was a mistake by Blake Mitchell. May have been a mistake by Kenny McKinley, the wide receiver. May is supposed to have been on a post, ran the corner route.
The coach you're talking about next Saturday night, ESPN is a showdown of 2 of the nation's best teams. Number 6 Miami, number 3 Virginia Tech. College football prime time is presented by Polaroid on ESPN Saturday at 7:45 Eastern. That game also available in high definition on ESPN HD. Chance for a long pass by Ainge. Chance for a sack. He's down. His knee hit the ground. They're going to give him credit for that pass, but it looked like he was down before he threw it. Holding flag down. Marion Foster was the receiver. Well, his knees were on the ground. They really should have called him down for a sack. And they are going to credit him with a 16-yard sack. Then we're at halftime. Eric Ainge off the bench to provide a spark to the offense, a safety as well from the defense, and Tennessee leads 12-7. And here's Alex with Philip Fulmer.
We're still searching for a camera.
Well, we can hear you anyway, Alex. Go ahead and talk.
Thank you, Sean. Fumbled in the red zone. What's going through your head? How badly does that hurt you?
Well, obviously, we need to get touchdowns and not turn the ball over. You know, I'd like it to be 19 right now to 7 rather than 12-7 and having a thrill a minute. But kids are playing hard. We got to get those. We've been down there 3 times actually and hadn't gotten points.
You brought Eric Ainge in the 3rd series of this game. What did he bring to the offense in the first half?
Well, Eric's got a little bit more mobility, as we saw that he scrambled around out there, and a little bit more arm than Rick. And Rick is the veteran. You know, he'll be back, I'm sure. And
will he be back in this game?
We're going to talk about that here in just a bit and see. But whoever's in there's got to play a little bit better. Thank you.
All right, Coach. Thank you. Sean?
Well, Philip Fulmer has said all year long it's not about effort. Young people are playing hard, but it's key mistakes at the critical times, and that was a factor again in the first half tonight. 12-7 at halftime now. Matt Weiner and company with the Star Motorcycles halftime report.
Thank you, Sean, very much. No matter.
Back in Knoxville, Tennessee at halftime. Tennessee with a 12-7 lead over South Carolina. Sean McDonough with Mike Gottfried and Alex Flanagan. And Mike, more of the same for Tennessee. As you heard from Phil Fulmer, the frustration at the end of the half. Just the 12-7 lead. The turnovers again costly.
It's an offensive football team that really is struggling. They have no identity. Riggs is not playing. Their offensive running game was successful in the first quarter, but then South Carolina shut them down. But both quarterbacks are playing tight to me. Their offensive team is playing tight. They're making mistakes.
You heard Philip Fulmer say it's possible we'll see Rick Clausen again in the second half. What would you expect?
I think Eric Ainge will start, and as long as they have this lead, he'll stay in. If they lose this lead, you'll see Rick Clausen.
Well, Carolina kicks off. Lucas Taylor in the back of the end zone. Decides to take a knee. Good move by Ryan Suckup. South Carolina scored first. Sidney Rice the touchdown. First given up by Tennessee through the air in the SEC this year. Just the second touchdown pass of the year against Tennessee. Arian Foster scored a touchdown to tie. The field goal and a safety widen the lead, but then Foster fumbled at the goal line going in again. It's still just 12-7. And Eric Ainge is the quarterback to open the second half. He came in the third series. They scored 10 quick points with him at the command. Rick Clausen threw just one pass. It was intercepted. Arian Foster for 4. Fred Bennett made the tackle. Foster had a very nice first half. He leads all rushers with 88 yards now. That is already a single game career best.
Rick Clausen, Eric Ainge, a comparison there. Rick Clausen, he was only in 3 plays, and when he threw the interception, got yanked, and Eric Ainge had been in ever since.
Ainge, like his uncle Danny, a basketball player. He thought about playing collegiately. Foster, the ball carrier. And Terrell Davis made the tackle. Ainge set the state record single season passing mark in high school in Oregon, more than 3,100 yards. And he said he didn't think there were too many college teams that were looking for a slow 2-guard in college basketball.
And plus, he's had turf toe here, and that's bothered his throwing motion. He stayed after practice, worked on that.
Foster dragged down from behind by Jordan Lindsay after a short gain out to the 33. You look for Tennessee again to try to establish that power running game.
Just pound South Carolina every now and then. A play action pass by Eric Ainge to keep the linebackers and secondary honest, but they're going to run this football.
We both saw Ainge play last year as a true freshman. He looked like he was going to have a great career, and he probably still will. But it's surprising how much he struggled this year, given the poise and the talent that he displayed last year. Foster pulled down by Lance Laurie.
Tough spot, Sean, because you have a veteran like Rick Clausen who the players believe in. You're the young guy. You won the job early in the fall camp. And then you said, Eric Ainge said, I have to be better. And all of a sudden, I think when you start to substitute quarterbacks, they're always trying to make things happen. They're always looking to the sideline.
With that last carry, Foster over 100 yards for the game to 101, and much more than that now. Co Simpson finally managed to pull him out of bounds. But he's across midfield to the 46-yard line of South Carolina, 17-yard run.
And I'll go back to the coaches now. When you Philip Fulmer and you start Eric Ainge, and then all of a sudden he doesn't come out of the gate right, then you go to the sixth man. Rick Clausen comes in and he plays well. So you're in a spot. You're always in the spot.
My question would be, you're 3-3. You're not going to win the SEC. You're not going to win the national championship. Ainge is a sophomore. Why wouldn't, all things being equal or even close to equal, why wouldn't you play him? Let him get more experience, get back on track with an eye toward the future. Deep ball broken up by Jonathan Joseph, intended for Robert Meacham.
The problem becomes, Sean, though, is if Rick Clausen's a better practice player and he won the second half, the LSU won a big game. In fairness, you have to give it a shot. You have to say, okay, who practices better and plays better in the game is going to be the quarterback. But what's happened is neither quarterback has really taken control.
We spoke with several other players on the team that say this is in no way a divisive issue. They have respect for both quarterbacks and the way the coaches have handled the situation. Robert Meacham, the catch. He's short of a first down. Here's Matt Weiner.
All right, here's what's going on with the unbeatens in some trouble tonight. UCLA is going to overtime at Stanford while Texas is tightening things up with Oklahoma State. Vince Young in for the touchdown, having a record rushing day, and the Horns within tune. Meanwhile, at Stanford, as I mentioned, the Bruins and Cardinal have begun OT.
Good job, man.
Well, we were all set to chalk up a couple L's for both
UCLA,
the Bruins and the Longhorns.
They keep coming back.
Range's pass too high. He got hit as he threw. Mike West came on a blitz. And the pass sailed over the head of Brett Smith. Going 4th and 6. They'll have to punt.
Really got away from Eric Ainge. Mike West flattens him. And that's what you want to do to a young quarterback. You want to knock him down. See the frustration when you can just look at him and you know he's frustrated. He's not playing well.
4th punt for Britton Colquitt. And he's going to do it again. Had one down at the 2. And that was a key play in the first half. This one will be downed at the 4. The 38-yard punt. First possession of the second half for South Carolina. Starts at their own 3-yard line. Mike Davis out to the 9. Did well to dodge a tackle behind the line of scrimmage. Jonathan Hefney finally got him down. Here's Alex.
Hey, Sean, South Carolina enters the second half without 2 of its wide receivers. Of course, they came into this game without Savell Newton. Noah Whiteside injured his ankle in the first half, is out for the rest of the game. And, of course, we all watched Carlos Thomas go to the hospital. There is some good news so far out of the hospital. He is conscious. He does have motion. They're doing some CAT scans right now and reevaluating him. We'll bring you more information, Sean, as we get it.
All right, Alex, thank you. 2nd and 4 from the 9. Mike Davis will not dodge those tacklers behind the line this time. Justin Harrell, the junior from Martin, Tennessee.
Justin Harrell comes up the football field. Simon's also there, the outstanding linebacker to make the play.
South Carolina plagued by poor starting field position all year long. Only 34% of their drives all year have started beyond their own 25-yard line. Nice catch. Kenny McKinley helping that depleted receiving corps, catching a ball thrown behind him for a first down for the 16-yard line.
That was a big catch. Ball thrown behind Kenny McKinley. Good concentration to make this catch and pick up the first down, because if he drops that football, you're punting from your end zone.
We talk about the field position. In 4 of their first 7 games, the Gamecocks did not start a drive beyond their own 40-yard line. Half their drives this year have started at their own 20 or worse. Davis dropped for a loss by Justin Harrell, and again, here's Matt Weiner.
All right, it's over at Stanford. UCLA has pulled it out. They gave up a field goal in Stanford's first possession in overtime. Then Drew Olson to Brandon Brazil. Pretty and over with. Bruins now 8-0.
Wow, they're having one of those seasons, Mike.
Yeah,
magical season. They've had a lot of those late rallies, none better than that one.
And Drew Olson is in the Heisman race.
Movement on both sides of the line, and here come the flags. Freddie St. Pro among those moving.
Before the ball was snapped. False start. Offense, number 54. 5-yard penalty. Still second down.
It was called against St. Pro. He's from Brooklyn, New York. A senior. Spent some time at Dodge City Junior College in Kansas.
With all the receivers' injuries, you have to figure if they're going to get a big play, talking about South Carolina, it has to be Sidney Rice. And John Chavis knows that also, that they have to get the ball to number 4.
And again, they're late getting out of the huddle, slow getting to the line, and movement again. Steve Spurrier knows better than anybody. They're just not good enough to have these kinds of mistakes.
False start. Offense, number 55. Half the distance to the goal. Still second down.
And you know, at Florida, they were good enough, Mike, to overcome 5-yard penalties here and there. They're not good enough at South Carolina. Yeah,
you're right. And the noise is so loud in here. The offensive line a little jittery with that solid front 4 coming at him.
Mike Davis out to the 9-yard line. Jesse Mahalona made the tackle.
And you get a safety early in the football game like Tennessee has, and all of a sudden you start to wonder if you're calling plays. You're Steve Spurrier. Do I want to take a chance here? My defense is playing well. I run the ball a little bit, get out to the 8-yard line. Now I'll throw right here. But don't make the big mistake again.
Third down and 18. 4 wide receivers. Mitchell is hit from behind. The ball's out. Run out of the end zone by Nashawn Goddard, the right man in the right spot for Coach Spurrier and the Gamecocks. He got it out to the 5-yard line. Jason Hall there again to hit Mitchell. He tackled him for a safety in the first half.
Had a twist going on right here, and Mitchell comes off the sideline. Jason Hall starts upfield and then comes on the twist and makes the hit on Blake Mitchell.
Josh Brown will punt. And it's muffed by Austin Rogers, but he fell on it at the 38-yard line. Again, excellent field position after a 32-yard punt. That pass rush relentless, but South Carolina still within 5.
ESPN2's College Football Primetime, brought to you by Subaru, a world leader in all-wheel drive technology. Think, feel, drive, Subaru. And Dr. Pepper and your local Dr. Pepper bottler.
University of Tennessee Football Hall of Fame celebrating over 100 years of sports history. Among those honored, Peyton Manning, perhaps someday Jason Hall as well. Made a couple of big plays. That's 2 weeks in a row. He's had 2 sacks. They're trying to strike quickly. Ainge just a little bit too far for Chris Hannon. He was behind the cover man Fred Bennett, but Hannon couldn't quite run under the aerial from Ainge.
They had what they wanted here. The big play. Chris Hannon against Fred Bennett. He's out there open. Eric Ainge, too much. He knows it.
Hannon grew up in Sarasota, Florida. Big fan of the Gators. He grew up wanting to play for Steve Spurrier. He said earlier this week it's an honor to play against Coach Spurrier. Ainge, the bullet a little bit too far ahead of Jason Swain. Just a little bit off in the passing game.
I don't care what plays you call. When your quarterback's tight and your offense, you know, Randy Sanders really has a tough job because the plays are there. Hannon was open. This was open on the last play. Eric Ainge just playing too tight.
Well, Coach, would you go back to Clausen?
As long as we have this lead, and I was the coach of the Tennessee team, I'd stay with Eric Ainge.
3rd and 10. Ainge hit as he throws, incomplete. Horace Lambert hit him. And the natives are getting restless. The longer you let this 2-touchdown underdog hang around, the more dangerous that underdog becomes.
And when you look at the schedule, they had Alabama last week. Tennessee laid it on the line. Could have won that football game. Mistakes. They have Notre Dame next week. So South Carolina's got a great chance here at Tennessee.
Sideline warning against South Carolina. Ainge just 1 for 6 this half for 4 yards. Steve Spurrier says we're about 3 recruiting classes away from having the talent we'll need to contend for an SEC championship. Colquitt twice has had punts down inside the 5, and it'll be 3 times. Great effort by Ja'Cory Williams to dive and save that one at the goal line. 37-yard punt. 3rd time they've had one down inside the 5. South Carolina will start again at the 3-yard line. Outstanding play by the freshman Ja'Cory Williams. Second possession of the second half for South Carolina. Both possessions have begun at their own 3-yard line. Britton Colquitt, who's had an inconsistent freshman year, has been very consistent tonight in dropping it softly near the 5. That first punt in the first half down at the 2 led to a safety by the Tennessee defense.
Punting at the best when you have the skill that Britton Colquitt is using in this football game. He's not trying to boom the ball. He's just trying to drop it inside the 10-yard line.
Dacus Turman, the lone back. Mitchell under duress, throws it away in the direction of Carson Askins. Close enough to avoid a grounding call in the end zone, which would have been another safety.
You're Blake Mitchell. You say to your offensive line, hey, fellas, I need a little more time. That may have been a screen pass, but they didn't block anybody. Xavier Mitchell came in.
Tony McDaniel, both backups up front. Not only are they talented, they're very deep in that front 4 for the University of Tennessee. Back to the I formation now. And Mike Davis spins ahead for a yard. Well, the field position's been rough most of the year, but never more so than here in the second half. And in these last 4 possessions, the last 2 of the first half. My goodness.
Everybody talks about the kicking game. Sometimes you give it lip service, but Philip Fulmer and his staff, the kicking game tonight has been big.
Officially no gain on the last play for Davis. 3rd down and 10. Davis open over the middle. But he doesn't get much. Out to the 7. Omar Gaither made the tackle. Looked like Davis was surprised there was no one around him when he caught it. He started running sideways when he had a little room upfield. I don't think he would have made the first down marker, but he might have had a couple more yards.
No, but Sean, the punting a Colquitt just changes your play calling because the safety, your offensive line can't handle the defensive line. All of a sudden now you got a punt, and Tennessee's going to get great field position again.
Josh Brown. Flag down. Lucas Taylor fielded the bouncing punt. 1-yard return to the 43. 38-yard punt. Well, would you make him kick it again?
Yes.
Illegal formation. Offense. Not enough players on the line of scrimmage. That penalty is declined. First down.
I said yes, but because they almost blocked it, and in the spread formation, you have a chance. But you do really have great field position on the 43.
Well, a lot of pressure on that punter when you punt out of the back of your end zone. He hasn't really boomed one yet tonight.
No.
You only return that one 1 yard. It is good field position, but I think you could get better field position. You had him do it again. Tennessee not being greedy. Leading 12-7. That was the score at the half. Arian Foster tackled by Stanley Doty. Here's Matt.
All right, this studio update brought to you by Taco Bell. We showed UCLA overcoming a 21-point fourth-quarter deficit to win their game and remain unbeaten. Texas has overcome a 19-point deficit to take the lead at Oklahoma State. Vince Young to Neil Tweedy. One-loss TCU, however, trails at San Diego State in the Mountain West.
They've had a strange year. Their one loss was to SMU. One of the weakest teams they've played all year. They've had some great wins. Now San Diego State, a team that's really scuffled. They're trailing them as well.
TCU's got a very good quarterback, Ballard. But I want to congratulate you because, see, you're knowledgeable. And if you're watching this game, you said early Oklahoma State had that big lead on Texas last year. So you knew it. You know everything here with the ESPN's encyclopedia.
Ainge, a little juggling act. Then he throws a duck as he was hit as he throws, and it was still close to Josh Briscoe. I remember Mac Brown said at halftime of that game last year to his team, all right, we're down 35-7. We're going to win 42-35. And they actually won by more than that. He apologized after the game for underestimating his team.
Well, when you've been in that spot, I have to think Texas moving to #1 affected their football team this week. Everybody patting them on the back all week. So USC will move to #1 next week.
Well, let's see if Colquitt can do it again. This has been Tennessee's best play here in the second half. I wish I could make my sandwich stop like this, Mike. This one might have a little, well, now he's going for the angle. Oh, no. The official got flattened by Ja'Cory Williams. I believe that's Richard Morales, the field judge, holding his position right at the pylon, and Ja'Cory Williams with his eye on the ball, trying to make another great play as he did on the last punt when he dove to keep the ball out of the end zone. But the referee, the official, standing stationary Never saw Ja'Cory Williams coming, apparently, and he ran almost full speed. And you see the official looking up at the ball, never sees Ja'Cory Williams. Oh, my goodness. The hard hit, and then you worry about his head snapping back and hitting the ground as hard as it did.
You talked about Ja'Cory Williams. His eyes are on the football. He's trying to find the football.
It is Richard Morales, the field judge. And as you said, this has been a very well officiated game. It's been sloppily played. They've been challenged, these officials, and done a great job.
They've made every right call, and they're right on everything. And Richard Morales trying to see if that ball was going to go out at the pylon and right on the football, but
I was so caught up in what happened to him, as you might understand. I don't even know what the call was. I think it went as a touchback, but it was very close by Colquitt again. Well, the good news is, as you can see, those are his legs moving. Again, bending his knees now, and that's very good news. I think the question, the larger question, was whether or not he lost consciousness the time of that collision or when he hit the ground. And while they take care of Richard Morales, we'll check in again with Matt.
All right, John, thanks very much. Let's take a look at LSU. We'll get to them in a moment. First, Fresno State at Hawaii. Tight game in the fourth quarter, and it's tight no longer. Wendell Mathis breaks through, sort of pecked his way through that line, and 78 yards later, little insurance for Fresno State. Meanwhile, I mentioned LSU. They lead 28-3 in a non-conference game. That one rescheduled. North Texas rescheduled because of Hurricane Katrina, and LSU leads at 28-3. Texas, as we showed you, has now taken the lead at Oklahoma State. How much of a wake-up call for the Longhorns?
You know, whatever Mac Brown has at halftime, he needs a can because the last 2 years, their team's come back strong in the second half. But, you know, Oklahoma State's just hanging around. They're only down 6, so you never know in a game like this.
Vince Young having a career day rushing, 245 yards rushing so far. And you knew there would be a game like this for Oklahoma State eventually. Assuming they get through this, do you see them in the Rose Bowl like everybody else?
Well, you know, it's just so hard to project anything anymore. You think something's going to happen. Like, look at UCLA tonight. We'll talk in a minute. But I think Vince Young right now gives you a quarterback down after down. I don't even think he's hit the ground. The only time they stop him is when he runs out of bounds. 245 yards rushing for a quarterback, and his passing's been right on the money, too. But yeah, we're going to go back to the game now. I sure hope this guy makes it all right.
That was scary. It's amazing it doesn't happen more often with officials. Hopefully he's okay and we can get back to football at Tennessee. Here's Sean and Mike.
Well, gentlemen, obviously we all share your concern. The good news is, as you can see, Richard Morales is back on his feet, holding a cloth up to his chin. Now, that's good news. Just to see that is a relief to all of us. They are going to take him in, and I would guess he might have lost consciousness briefly too, Mike.
And the officials do such a good job, Sean. I know people criticize them, and I've been on the sideline criticizing, but I'm telling you, they do a good job.
Ball does come out to the 20. First and 10, South Carolina, their best starting field position of the half. First time in 3 possessions they haven't started at the 3. And Mike Davis dropped the pass from Blake Mitchell. Mitchell, a work in progress. Steve Spurrier told us he was a quarterback in high school who was in a run offense. So not only is he making the transition to being in a passing offense, but it's a brand new offense to him and his teammates.
And he doesn't make many mistakes. 11 touchdown passes, 5 interceptions, 109 of 170 coming into this game. Fairly accurate passer all the time.
Mitchell runs for 3. Tackled by Jason Hall. Matt McLaughlin. Jason Hall's had a big night. He's not the only fine athlete or talented guy in his family. He has a brother, Jermaine, who's playing basketball over in Ireland. He played a couple of years at Ohio State. And he has another brother, John, who goes by Mr. J, who is a DJ.
You asked him, he said, I'm his assistant. You said, what does a DJ's assistant do? But so he gave an answer.
He gives him some suggestions about which songs to play. And his brother's a highly sought-after DJ in the Atlanta area. There's a first down. Much sought after by South Carolina. Flag down. This one's coming back for a holding call. Chris Clark, the catch.
We talked about Jason Hall. I believe he's being held on this play.
78.
Oh, yeah.
Offense. 10-yard penalty from the previous
He went around Jabari Levy for the sack and the safety in the first half. He was going right around him again on that play, and Jabari Levy couldn't help but drag him down.
This will be a nightmare for Levy because Jason Hall has been active coming off the corner.
And Levy might be their best offensive lineman. This is his 25th career start tonight.
Another big mistake by South Carolina. The penalty, they had the first down. Now they're backed up again.
8 penalties against the Gamecocks, all on the offense. Down to a minute and a half to go in a scoreless third quarter. Tennessee leads by 5. Wide receiver screen. Kenny McKinley got the first down. Boy, he did a little dance just shy of that 30-yard line, and you wonder for a second if it would cost him. But he continued across the yard to make a 16-yard gain before Antoine Stewart made the tackle. Nice call by Spurrier and well executed.
Real good call. When you can't run the football, that's the equalizer to the pass rush. The quick screen, get the ball out there, get your linemen downfield.
Return home for Steve Spurrier. Grew up about 100 miles from here in the mountains of Johnson City, Tennessee. Decided to play at the University of Florida, where he won the Heisman Trophy. Later became their coach. Sidney Rice. First down across midfield and down at the Tennessee 45. Inky Johnson finally got him on the ground with help from Antoine Stewart. 25 yards on the completion to Sidney Rice.
Just a quick throw underneath, letting the zone coverage open. Sidney Rice then shows you why Steve Spurrier really likes this young receiver. Redshirt freshman, good speed, good hands, makes big plays.
He's had 5 catches tonight, meaning he's had at least 5 catches in 6 of the 7 games in which he has played this year. He missed their opener against Central Florida with a broken finger. Mitchell, another quick throw from Mike Flint, and this time Stewart's on top of it. That'll be the final play of the third quarter. Neither team scored. South Carolina didn't have much of a chance to score in that third quarter with horrible field position, but they're marching now down by 5.
Sunday.
We're back at Neyland Stadium. More than 107,000 on hand to watch 4-3 South Carolina take on 3-3 Tennessee. These 2 legendary coaches head-to-head for the first time in 4 years. Both needing victories down the stretch for bowl eligibility. South Carolina needs to win 2 of its last 4. Mitchell hit as he throws, but it's caught by Sidney Rice. And he broke that arm tackle. He was heading for the end zone. Antoine Stewart prevented the touchdown. 27 yards on the completion to Rice. Their big playmaker making big plays on this critical drive.
That was a well-thrown ball under pressure by Blake Mitchell. You see Rice running down the middle of the football field against 2 deep coverage, made the catch, and Stewart with a good tackle.
Sidney Rice, standout basketball player in high school, the state player there at Gaffney, won a state championship. Thought about playing both sports at South Carolina. Leg injury last year brought that idea to an end. Mike Davis, the ball carrier. He got a solid 8 yards before he took a good stick from Jonathan Heffney. With more on Sidney Rice, here's Alex.
Hey, Sean, well, Sidney Rice has his eyes set on becoming the conference freshman of the year. Last week, before their game against Vanderbilt, defensive back and friend Co Simpson showed Rice his freshman of the year plaque from last season. He said to Rice before the game, hey, let's go get it. Rice making a good argument for it tonight, Sean.
He certainly is. He's had a tremendous freshman year. Simpson, 6 interceptions last year to be the conference freshman of the year. Little trickeration. McKinley throws back. And it is incomplete. Intended for Mike Davis. They scored on a similar play last week against Vanderbilt. Threw a lateral to Savell Newton. He threw a touchdown pass to Carson Askins. That one went straight up the sideline on the forward pass instead of back across the field like this one from Kenny McKinley.
You have plays set where you're in certain field position plays. Davis sold this play. He's open. Should bring this in for the touchdown.
Yep. Great
well
call.
Played call.
Perfect throw by McKinley, and it was dropped. McKinley was a quarterback last year in high school. 3rd and 2. Here's Rice for a first down inside the 9. Inky Johnson, the tackle. Pump fist from Steve Spurrier. They made a lot of mistakes tonight, a lot of penalties and turnovers and drop passes, and yet here they are in position to take the lead in the 4th quarter.
Sean, I would think down here when you have the ball on the 8-yard line, Tennessee's so good against the run. I think you may have to throw a fade pass here. Rice would be my choice again to throw the ball in rather than try to run it in.
10th play of the drive. Started at their own 20. Davis squirts ahead to the 4-yard line. Omar Gaither made the tackle. Not big chunks in the running game tonight, but just enough for Coach Spurrier to have it be effective and make Tennessee have to respect it.
Good point. That's the screen. John Chavis knows they're not a great running team, but just enough. Like salt in your meat. When you're eating the steak, put a little salt on it. Little pepper. That's what he's doing.
43 yards rushing for Davis. 2nd and goal just inside the 5. Play clock running out. They're throwing for the corner of the end zone. Rice incomplete. They grabbed him. Steve Spurrier wanted a flag. I don't see a flag. There is a flag apparently on the field. Must be in one of those orange checkers in the end zone. I'm not sure that ball was going to be catchable. And the flag is not for grabbing the receiver. It's for illegal procedure. We did, by the way, have an alternate official, Penn Wagers, who has come into the game for Richard Morales, who left to get medical treatment. And clearly there's contact there. The question is, was that going to be catchable?
Not enough players on the line of scrimmage. 5-yard penalty from the previous spot. Replay the down.
Well, it might have been catchable if he didn't grab him.
Yeah, Antoine Stewart grabbed Sidney Rice. Should have been called.
And the only explanation could have been it wasn't catchable, but they never gave that signal. At least I didn't see it. 2nd and goal. They're back at the 10. Mike circled Sidney Rice. Mitchell flushed, looking to run. Gets back to the 5. Upended by Rashawn Fellows. Steve Spurrier told us he was a running quarterback in high school, but he's had to encourage him to take off and run more this year. He's been a little too reluctant to run with the football.
And John Chavis's defense, again, they force Blake Mitchell to run. Good coverage in the secondary. South Carolina going to take a timeout. Talk about this one.
And again, I would ask you about time management issues. You have plays for this situation, right? You're down on the 5-yard line. You're in your red zone offense. You prepare all week to game plan for situations like this. Why burn a timeout you might need later?
Because you've got young receivers. You're without Savell Newton. You've lost 2 other receivers. You want to make sure everything's right.
We'll come back for this key 3rd down and goal from the 5 right after this. Timeout, South Carolina. It looks like they're going to use another timeout. Well, they wanted to line up, apparently, see what they got from the defense, although that looked like kind of a sarcastic smile from Coach Spurrier. I'm not sure he wanted this timeout, too.
I don't think so.
Well, now they're really putting critical importance on this play, because later on, if they're still trailing, they're not going to have any timeouts to stop the clock. Time for our Dr. Pepper SEC update. We take a look at the standings in the East. If Georgia won today, they had wrapped up the East, but they lost to their rival Florida at the world's largest outdoor cocktail party. So Florida, if they win out and get a little help.
The Gators are alive.
They're alive. We're going to see them next week against always dangerous Vanderbilt.
They're alive, and Vanderbilt, Jay Cutler's going to go in there next week, and we'll get a game. The West, Alabama is playing so well on defense. Brody Croyle playing so well at quarterback. I still say LSU has the best talent.
I think they have the best talent of any SEC team we've seen in either division.
I do too. They have to go to Alabama. So Alabama's sitting pretty good shape right now.
Touchdown to take the lead. After 2 timeouts to set up this play, 3rd down and goal for South Carolina. Mitchell, pump fake, throws to Rice. Touchdown! He caught it in traffic. It was worth the wait for Steve Spurrier. Now the question he has to ponder, do you go for 2? There's a lot of time left.
Have to go for 2, Sean.
Yep, get ahead by 3, so that way a field goal ties you. Doesn't beat you. 11.5 to go. They had Rice surrounded. We talk about his basketball skills, Mike, and he really does use his body to get position in a crowd like a basketball player.
Oh, you're right. The pump by Blake Mitchell really set that pass reception open for Rice.
Now he has the single season touchdown reception record all by himself. They blitz the 2-point play, and it is an incomplete pass. Kevin Simon came charging up the middle. Tennessee fans thought that should have been a fumble, which could have been returnable, but it's ruled incomplete. So the try for 2 points fails, and South Carolina leads by 1. Their second lead of the night. They led 7-0. They had a drop touchdown pass, but they overcame it on the great play in traffic by Rice. Seven touchdown receptions now in the last 3 games for Sidney Rice, the redshirt freshman from Gaffney, South Carolina. As we look at the Sonic scoring drive, his 5-yard reception on 3rd and goal capped a 12-play 80-yard drive. Mitchell outstanding on the drive. They took more than 6 minutes off the clock. Now they're in position to hand Tennessee a very rare loss when the Vols have led after 3 quarters. Under Philip Fulmer in 14 years, Tennessee is 110-4 in games in which it led after 3 quarters of play. The last time they blew a lead after 3 quarters was to LSU in 2001 in the SEC championship game. Lucas Taylor won't run this out. They've been stagnant on offense. The question is, will they go back to Rick Clausen, who started, played 2 series. The second series ended with an interception that set up a Carolina touchdown. Eric Ainge has played since, but in this half, Tennessee has 2 first downs. They have 41 yards of offense, only 4 of those passing yards.
They're going to go back to Clausen. He's a veteran guy. Eric Ainge has not thrown the ball well, so you come back. I said when they lose the lead, they're bringing the Clausen back. Clausen's a veteran.
Ainge led them to 10 quick points. The offense has been stagnant ever since. Arian Foster having the biggest night of his career. Excellent tackle in space by Coe Simpson, their All-American candidate at safety.
Sean, great defense. Two guys are on Rice right here, but you're going to watch fine design play. Here's the move, first move, and then the throw in the end zone. So they had him bracketed with two guys, the right call, but Steve Spurrier had the right call on for South Carolina. With a little move, and then Blake Mitchell threw it right to Rice for the touchdown.
David Yancey stacked up at the 26. It'll be 3rd down and 4 after an update from Matt Weiner.
Sean, that 19-point deficit for Texas at Oklahoma State seems like a distant memory now. This is Raymond Taylor getting the call. This is Raymond Taylor going 57 yards for a touchdown. Horns have racked up nearly 600 yards in offense, 356 on the ground. Another 12 from Taylor here, and it's a 47-28 Texas lead.
So some scares for Texas and UCLA tonight. They're both going to survive. Tennessee needing to come back now. 3rd and a long 3. Clausen's pass caught. Jason Swain, a nice catch on a ball slightly behind him. Out to the 41-yard line. 14 yards on the pickup. Tremaine Tyler made the tackle for South Carolina.
You remember John Havlicek, right?
Of course.
He'd come off the bench for the Celtics. He was the world's best 6-man. I believe Rick Clausen, when he comes off the bench, is better because he sees more out there. He comes off the bench right now. He's just ready to go.
Clausen dumps it short. Robert Meacham slipped as he tried to turn upfield. It's a 3-yard pickup. Well, Clausen, of course, back on September 26th, came off the bench after the half when Tennessee trailed LSU 21-0. Led a second half opening drive keyed by that throw to Robert Meacham. It ended with an 8-yard touchdown to Brett Smith. He finished with 196 yards passing, ran for a score, threw for a score, and they won 30-27. Through a big hole, Arian Foster across midfield, still on his feet, and finally down inside the 35. 23 yards on the rumble for Foster. He's up to 148 yards and injured at the end of that run. He fell awkwardly across the sideline.
The other thing a veteran quarterback will do, like Rick Clausen, he'll settle the huddle down and he'll encourage the offensive line, the running backs, and the wide receiver. He's been here before.
See his leg hyperextend on one of his last steps. And he landed awkwardly. Kind of fall that would make you think it might be a hip injury. Corey Anderson powers ahead. He's down to the 27-yard line, so they're in field goal range for Will Hoyt, who has a career long of 51. Very little breeze in the stadium here tonight. All the flags just hanging straight down the pole. 8:40 the clock running. South Carolina leads by 1. They've lost the last 12 to Tennessee. Corey Anderson. They said we'd see him some at tailback tonight, and we have. Stanley Doty, pardon me, made the tackle at the 26th. It'll bring 3rd down and 2.
Sean, I say it again. When you huddle up, one of the things about the huddle is to get to play, and the other thing is to encourage your guys. And Rick Clausen is doing that at this time.
Corey Anderson, usually their fullback, again the tailback. In a short yardage situation, they faked it to him, and it's dropped by David Holbert, who was the fullback.
They had the first down and then some. Now Philip Fulmer with no choice but to send out the field goal unit. And again, I would remind these Tennessee fans who blame the coaches for what's happened this year. There's another play where they had a great play called and it just wasn't executed.
And it could have been big yardage, but drop passes. Tennessee leading the league. Drop passes.
43-yard try for Wilhoit. For the lead. Good! James Wilhoit, the junior from Hendersonville, Tennessee, with a field goal of 43 yards. And Tennessee leads 15-13. 8 points tonight, giving him an even 200 now for his career. He's the active scoring leader in the Southeastern Conference, and few points in his career bigger than those for Wilhoit. Well, Steve Spurrier and the offense with more work to do if they're going to pull off the upset in Knoxville tonight.
ESPN2's College Football Primetime, brought to you by Acura. Experience the performance today at your local Acura dealer. And ADT Security Services. Go to ESPN.com, keyword ADT, to enter the All-Defensive Team Challenge.
Back in Neyland Stadium, third largest stadium in college football. It's seen a very exciting game here tonight. Only Michigan Stadium and Beaver Stadium at Penn State are bigger than this one. Wilhoit fired up after that big field goal that gave him the lead. Kicks another into the end zone. We'll see if Mitchell and the Gamecocks have another 80-yard drive in them.
Yeah, Tennessee's kicking game has been big. You talk about 3 punts inside the 5-yard line. Kickoff, Wilhoit knocks it in the end zone. You always start with bad field position.
Bear in mind they used 2 timeouts to the Gamecocks to set up that 3rd and 5, 3rd and goal from the 5, on which they scored the go-ahead touchdown moments ago. So they have just 1 left. 7:39 to go. Plenty of time right now. 3 wide receivers. Mitchell after the fake, and Kenny McKinley, an excellent catch. He had stopped for a moment on the route. I think Mitchell thought he was going to keep running, and that made the throw go ahead of him, but McKinley able to stretch out those hands for a 13-yard gain.
You're right. Shows good release by Blake Mitchell. He was waiting for McKinley to go open. Kenny McKinley has made 2 really good catches with concentration.
Should have had a touchdown pass to his credit as well tonight, but Mike Davis dropped it in the end zone. 200 yards passing now for Mitchell, right on the number, 18 of 31. Looking for more, has a first down. They're quickly out to the 49-yard line. Chris Clark, who had a couple of key fourth-quarter receptions on their winning drive last week against Vanderbilt. Another big catch for Coach Spurrier, a 16-yarder.
And John Chavis needs this front 4 really to heat up Blake Mitchell. He had too much time on that last throw.
He has the starters in up front. And they should be fresh. The backups have played a number of snaps. The front 4. Davis trying to pick his way through that front, gets 3 to the 49-yard line of Tennessee. Paris Harrelson made the tackle.
A lot of pressure on the secondary of Tennessee. Inky Johnson, Jonathan Wade, whoever's on Sidney Rice, lock him down.
Right now the difference, the failed 2-point conversion for South Carolina moments ago. A field goal would give them the lead. Josh Brown has a career long of 45 yards. 2nd and 7, the showing blitz.
And they didn't get the play off.
Ball was snapped. Delay of game. Offense. 5-yard penalty. Still second down.
10th penalty against South Carolina.
South Carolina gets out of the huddle late in trying to make those calls at the line of scrimmage. The noise factor, Blake Mitchell gesturing to the wide receivers, took the delay of game, which you can't do.
Mitchell with time. It's a completion to Chris Clark. Down about 2.5 yards short of the first down. Demetrius Morley, a backup safety, made the tackle.
Tennessee playing with 5 defensive backs. Now 6 will be on the field.
Could be 4 down territory for South Carolina. 3rd down and a long 2. 3 wide receivers. Nakis Terman the lone back. Tennessee showing blitz again. Mitchell the quick slant again to McKinley. And Mitchell is starting to pick them apart with the play calling of Spurrier helping them to get in a nice rhythm here. Inky Johnson made the tackle, but it's an 11-yard gain.
And McKinley really stepped up big, Sean, because they need receivers because Savell Newton's down, Carlos Thomas hurt, Noah Whiteside, so you're down. You have 3 wide receivers hurt. Kenny McKinley, the freshman, has stepped up.
Flag down as they broke the huddle. Might be illegal participation.
Only have 11 on the field.
And they might pick up the flag.
Should.
There's no foul on the play. There were only 11 players in the huddle. First down.
If I were the offense, I'd be a little annoyed by that. You're in a little rhythm here. You seem like you have the defense on the heels, and now because the referee can't count. So they'll try again on 1st and 10 with 4 wide receivers. And Terman dropped for a loss. Jonathan Wade, the cornerback. And every yard is critical now. Because if you're thinking about a longish field goal where they snapped the ball, would have been a 51-yard try. Now they're really out of field goal range. They don't get anything forward of this.
Xavier Mitchell on a twist again between the tackle and end. Tackle goes outside, the end goes inside. Xavier Mitchell was right in the backfield.
3:40 to go. South Carolina, 2-touchdown underdog, down by 2 points. Mitchell zings another one for McKinley to the 32-yard line. It would be a 49-yard field goal from here. And a big 3rd down upcoming. They need to get just inside the 25-yard line. 3rd and a short 8, a long 7.
When you have a receiver like Sidney Rice, you double him. And McKinley is a beneficiary of this defense.
3 minutes to go. 4 receivers. Mitchell out of the gun. 4-man rush picked up. Pass incomplete. Contact as the ball arrived. Morley broke it up. Intended for Chris Clark. And Coach Spurrier with a decision to make. This would be close to a 50-yard field goal. The career long for Josh Brown is 45. That was this year against Kentucky. He came into tonight having made 13 of his last 14 field goals. They do have Ryan Suckup, the freshman, who's tried some long ones, 2 of them, but he's 0 for 2 this year, so they'll stick with Brown. A 49-yard try for the lead with 2:51 to go. It is good. This one reminiscent of the old days when Spurrier and Fulmer used to go head-to-head when Steve Spurrier was the ball coach of the Florida Gators. This has every bit the drama and excitement of those memorable matchups.
Been a great game. When you look back on this game, Philip Fulmer and his staff, the mistakes the offense made in this first half of this football game has really put them in a bad position. But a lot of time on the clock. Tennessee has all 3 timeouts left. Rick Clausen has been here before, the comeback kid in the LSU game, so this is far from over.
Josh Brown in the holder. Like Crowfoot knew a lot earlier than Steve Spurrier that ball was going over the bar, and I don't know how those two knew it as quickly as they started jumping up and down, because it didn't make it by much. So the spotlight back on Clausen. He marched them down for a field goal upon re-entering the game on the last Tennessee possession. 2:45 to go. Tennessee has all 3 of its timeouts left.
And we talked about South Carolina. Steve Spurrier knows he has to beat Tennessee or Georgia or Florida to get out of that 4th spot that they usually have in the SEC East.
Ryan Suckup, the freshman, will kick off. Lucas Taylor, a chance to bring it back from the 3. Good coverage by South Carolina. Dustin Lindsey, their starting middle linebacker, there to put a hit on Taylor. 19-yard run back. So a field goal would put them ahead, and in all likelihood win it with so little time left.
You still have the run, although Foster's hurt, Riggs is hurt, so you probably are going to go to a short passing game here. Corey Anderson, the only back with Clausen, is more of a fullback blocker type.
They refer to it as a dink and dunk attack when Clausen's in there, and that seems to be what this situation calls for. Starts with a little short pass to Meacham, and he's driven back and stayed in bounds. Fred Bennett made the tackle at the 25. A gain of 3, and the clock runs under 2.5 minutes to go.
A lot of time. You hit your curl routes, inside routes, easy throws for Clausen.
Clausen with time, throws the deep ball and almost intercepted. It was over the head of Robert Meacham and almost picked off by Coe Simpson. We spoke with Coe a couple of weeks ago, and he was bemoaning a number of missed interceptions right through his hands, and there's another one.
Sean, you're right. Tyrone Nix has called all the right defenses here for South Carolina tonight. They had a chance at that pick.
Key third down play, 3rd and 7. 3 receivers for Tennessee. Clausen zips one for a first down. Brett Smith, the junior, an 11-yard gain out to the 35-yard line. The clock stops to move the chains.
This is what Rick Clausen does well. Throws the in routes, the curl routes, where you get behind the linebacker, you stop the clock for the first down.
Corey Anderson goes out of bounds with a 5-yard pickup to the 40-yard line. So now James Wilhoit warms up. A potential game-winning field goal situation. He has a career long of 51 yards. Longest this season, 46. 2 out of 3 tonight, including a 43-yarder. Veteran, experienced kicker, the leading active scorer in the SEC. Clausen under duress, wobbly pass incomplete, intended for Jason Swain. It'll be 3rd down and 5. Jonathan Joseph had the coverage.
This is a big game for Philip Fulmer and Steve Spurrier because you're talking about bowl implications. Now, not going to win the East, either one of these teams. But the bowl season is dependent on this game.
Philip Fulmer has never lost to South Carolina. He's never coached against the South Carolina team led by Steve Spurrier. Another big third down. Clausen with time. He has a receiver. Good catch. And then it comes loose from the hands of Arian Foster. Looked for a moment like he was going to rescue that off-target pass from Clausen. And that's one of those passes you have to be on the money with. He was wide open in space. And now Philip Fulmer with 1:42 and 3 timeouts with a decision to make. It looks like they're going to go for it. Offense still on the field. Clausen's in the huddle. Tennessee 2 for 9 on 4th down this year.
Some type of curl route in the middle of the field.
4th and 5. Clausen underneath. It is broken up by Coe Simpson. Intended for Brett Smith, and Simpson, the brilliant safety, timed it perfectly. Gamecock fans who have made the trip celebrate, but still 1:37 to go and all 3 timeouts left for Tennessee.
And when you can't run the football, as South Carolina has had problems, you can't run out the clock. Led too far to Brett Smith. Coe Simpson with another big play.
Philip Fulmer looked like he was going to be physically ill. It has already been a tremendously disappointing season. Preseason top 5 in many major polls, ranked as high as number 2 in a couple of magazines, number 3 in a poll. Picked to win the SEC East. They're on the verge of 3-4 overall and 2-4 in the SEC. And looking at a scramble for bowl eligibility with Notre Dame next week at Notre Dame, then Memphis, Vanderbilt, and Kentucky. It gets a lot easier after the Irish, but the way they're playing, they're not a cinch to beat anybody.
No. When you talk about Tennessee, you talk about mistakes, drop passes, mistakes, penalties. They have come at the wrong time for this volunteer football team. Still could get the ball back, Sean, because they still had the 2 timeouts. South Carolina really not a good running football team.
The last time South Carolina won was 1992. That had a big effect on both of these coaches. Johnny Majors let go at the end of the year. Philip Fulmer became the head coach. Steve Spurrier was coaching at Florida. That Tennessee loss helped Florida win the SEC East. Second and 11. On the ground with Davis. Lots of running room. First down. And then tackled by Jonathan Wade, but a huge first down to the 27-yard line. And Steve Spurrier and Philip Fulmer can sense the reality of the situation now. The seconds ticking down toward what would be a monumental upset.
We
in
talked
the latest chapter of these 2 legendary coaches head-to-head.
Sean, we talked about the offensive linemen, but Levy and St. Pro, Chris White really opened a good hole on the draw play.
And Philip Fulmer has come under as much criticism as he's ever had during his tenure here, and that will be ratcheted up and then some. Not only to lose to a 2-touchdown underdog South Carolina team, but particularly one coached by the man they call Darth Visor here in Knoxville, Steve Spurrier.
And the mistakes his football team, the drop passes and fumbles. Foster was going into the end zone, hit the ball out of his own hand with his knee, fumbled the football through the end zone, into the end zone, and they didn't get any points on that situation. So just mistakes have beaten Tennessee if they lose this football game.
Well, Philip Fulmer talked about you have some years where everything goes your way, other years where it seems nothing goes right. And this has been one of those years, including that fumble right on the goal line. Would have made it 19-7 in favor of Tennessee heading into the half. Of course, I remember when the national championship year, they had a late pass interference call at Syracuse that helped them win a game. They had the memorable Clint Sterner fumble when Arkansas here in Knoxville was just running out the clock to win that ball game. That would have been goodbye national championship hopes. They've had years when everything went right. This is not one of them. Davis into the line. They'll use another timeout, will the Volunteers, with 1:17 to go. We also have very good news, regardless of who you're cheering for tonight. We're told that Carlos Thomas, who was taken off the field in a stretcher and taken to the hospital in the first half, is back here at the stadium, diagnosed with a concussion, but thankfully no debilitating injuries beyond that.
That's good news. And when you look at this South Carolina football team, we saw them 3 weeks ago, Auburn. They really have improved.
Well, they were terrible that night. It is amazing how much better they were tonight. I mean, they lost 48-7, and it wasn't as close as the score would indicate.
And the big difference is Blake Mitchell. He didn't play in that football game. Now they go to 5 wins if they can hold on, and they have a chance. They go to Arkansas. They got Florida and Clemson at home. They have a chance to hit that goal. Steve Spurrier said he wanted to get to a bowl.
And he said 6-5, a winning record and bowl eligibility would be a tremendously successful season. As we said earlier, he equated that to a 9-2 year at Florida. Now, that's really not necessary. Harrelson, with Mitchell going down to a knee, gave him a little smother job while he was down there, and he's lucky he didn't get flagged for it. That's just frustration on the part of really one of the great citizens in all of college football. The AFCA Coaches Association picks 11 players throughout all of college football for their good works team for great service to the community and the campus, and Harrelson is one of those players.
And the defensive football team, Tennessee, has played well all year, but the offensive team just made so many mistakes tonight.
My goodness.
How soon they forget.
Yep. But you'd have to say, Mike, Tennessee is the most disappointing team in the country, given top 5 preseason rankings to be 3-4. Steve Spurrier with the first signature win of his tenure at South Carolina, and it comes against the familiar foe, the Tennessee Volunteers, and their coach Philip Fulmer. He's come into the stadium and won as the head coach of Duke, of Florida, and now of South Carolina. And he's with Alex Flanagan.
Coach, how much does this feel like the old days against Philip Fulmer?
No, I tell you what, we thought we had a chance to make history if the ball bounced our way, and it did. We had some good things happen. So we're excited. First time South Carolina's ever won here. So we did some history tonight.
All right, what history was made tonight, aside from the first ever win?
First win ever for South Carolina.
What about for you and your program? What kind of history? What does it mean?
Well, we beat one of the top 3 in the East, so that's good for us, and hadn't done that much. So maybe we can beat another top 3. Who knows?
All right, Steve Spurrier, one step closer to his goal of reaching a bowl game this season, Sean.
Well, he's one of the winningest coaches of all time, certainly one of the great coaches of his era, Mike. I'm not sure he's ever done a better coaching job than he's doing with this team this year. He walked into a program in disarray, put on probation, players leaving the program left and right. They had a brawl that ended last season, and yet here they are, 1 win away now from bowl eligibility, with a signature win against the Tennessee team that's having a bad year but still has a lot of talent.
Yeah, their defense played well. How about Blake Mitchell, and how about Sidney Rice? Had a big night, caught a couple touchdown passes. The big play, they took the lead. The South Carolina football team getting better every week.
They've also now won 3 straight games in conference for the first time since 2002. Reason to smile for Blake Mitchell, Steve Spurrier, and Gamecocks everywhere. Once again, the final score tonight, South Carolina 16, Tennessee 15. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. Now for Mike Gottfried and Alex Flanagan, I'm Sean McDonough saying good night from Knoxville, Tennessee.